nerds? Welcome to Hot Nerd Network, the ultimate destination where we celebrate diverse personalities from the real world to the fantasy one. I'm Hot Nerd Sid, your guide through the captivating worlds of fandom. As the queen of fandoms and ruler of all things nerdy, I'm here to empower and entertain you with our geeky adventures. And I'm here with a special friend and host. Hey, Hot Nerd Carmen.
Hello. I'm Hawkener Carmen, like she said. I feel like I'm your resident lover girl host. If it's reality, if it's fiction, if it has to
Yes.
do with matters of the heart, I'm here.
Yes. What are some of your favorite reality TV shows?
Okay, reality in terms of
Yeah.
like dating,
Oh,
definitely. I feel like my all-time Love Island UK. I mean,
yeah.
it really is just the cream of the crop. Back in the day,
Yes. Yes.
Are You the One on MTV? Real ones
Yes.
know. Are You the One used to be fire. Shoot, even when we were younger, like I used to be watching Next.
Yes.
When you came home, Parental Control, all the dating shows.
Oh my gosh. I forgot about those. Did
They
you
were
ever watch
so
like
out of pocket.
they were? Did you ever watch like
Brainwaves.
yes, yes. And
Yes.
Wife Swap. Like
Oh my
Wife
god,
Swap.
yes. No, Wife Swap was unhinged. Wife Swap was unhinged. I was like,
Those
every
kids talked any sort of way to their parents.
when the little boy when he was like
Oh my
the little
gosh.
boy with the chicken nuggets,
Yeah.
and he was like, she thinks she's a smart girl, and it's like, you know what type of coded language they were using up in that house. You know, she thinks she's a smart little girl, and she won't even let me have a chicken nugget or whatever he was saying.
He meant to so bad. Oh my goodness, kids. No, yeah. Reality TV has captured some of the craziest things. Like, I think that's sometimes why it's so intriguing outside of like even fictional because it's like you can't make some of the stuff up.
No,
Like,
100%. And then, like, you know what is one of my it's not necessarily new, but I feel like
yeah.
it's like a slept on show that a lot of people don't know about because it's on OWN network. But have you seen Ready to Love?
Oh my gosh, I have not, but I've been wanting
Girl,
to.
you gotta
What's
get
it?
into it because you know what it is? I appreciate Ready to Love because it's all Black. Like, I feel like there
True.
are very few all Black dating reality shows that aren't in like super crazy with like, obviously we had what do we have like Flavor of Love
Yeah,
and all those,
love and
but
hip hop. Uh,
yeah, but like and the cast ages, they're all grown. Like the youngest people on there be like maybe like 29. Like it's really people in their like 30s and 40s, so it's like grown adults, and it's such an interesting perspective. They'd be just as messy as the fucking young people. They're just as bad. Just as bad, no growth, but it's an interesting perspective because like they just come with like more baggage. Like some of them have
yeah.
been married before, they have
Yeah.
kids, like a lot of different stuff. And then some of them, especially the men, you're like, I see why you're still a bachelor at 45.
Yeah. Oh
I
my gosh.
see.
Oh, that's so well, I've never heard of Ready to Love, but I now really wanna watch it.
No,
Like,
you
the
have to watch it. Please watch it. I have no one to talk to about it. Please watch.
we gotta watch at this point, okay? Because and I gotta report back, like, it
It's so funny. It's just like, and everybody, I think too, again, it being just like regular Black people, like
yeah.
it's like everybody has knows somebody like this in their life or like a cousin or
Yes.
something. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So it is a mess, but it's funny.
No, I'm sure it is. I haven't seen it, but it kinda sounds like how I feel about, Married at First Sight. I don't know if you've seen that. Crazy
How could
ass
I
show.
forget? How could I forget Married at First Sight? I
Woo!
It is so bad because like I was a Married at First Sight like starter pack. Like
Really?
season 1, I was in there.
So you're
And
OG.
I'm an
Got it.
OG, but the success rate is so low at this point. It's like What? I can't even get invested. I can't,
I
like,
can't. No,
y'all are
it's
just doing this for rating. Y'all aren't serious. Y'all aren't serious at this point.
and they don't take it seriously enough
They
either.
don't.
Like,
But
even just the experts themselves, like,
oh,
don't
yeah.
take it enough seriously. Like,
Dr.
where are
Pepper.
y'all?
Dr. Pepper, you're looking funny in the light. Like,
Where are y'all, Pastor Cow?
Pastor
Pastor
Cow,
Cow.
Pastor Cow, BFFR.
Please
Please.
come report to the front of the stage. Like, I don't even know. It's so crazy. Cause but then to your point, it's not like these are young people. These are older people, but they definitely have baggage and they definitely bring all of that, projecting all of that. Like
Yes.
it's so similar-ish to Love is Blind, but I do see why Love
But
is
you
Blind might have a bit more success, you know?
but you know what the T is? The same production company for Married at First Sight runs Love is Blind. And there are these
Kinetic?
people in last season, people were like during um before like the marriages and stuff,
Yeah.
when the first couple of episodes had dropped and we were just seeing them in the pods, people were pointing out that Kwame was like caught in like the B-roll um
Yes, yes, Married
of
at First Sight.
Married at First Sight, and it's because it's the same production company. So like apparently what they'll do is like obviously like once it's like anytime you go into a store, it's like, okay, well, they already have your information. They're like, oh, we got another show too. If you're like, we're casting now. So it's like there's probably a lot more people that we don't even realize who have overlap between the shows depending on the locations.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And you find people who will like move with the production
Yes.
to the different locations that they're going in. It's like you're not even from here, but you were just like, they were like, not this time, but come this time. It's very interesting. And like speaking of Kwame, just like thoughts on him in last season. It's so interesting specifically with him because yeah, he had been a part of the casting pool of multiple things. So it begs the question of are you just looking to get onto TV or are you just looking to find love in this way? Like, I don't know. It's just so interesting. But then him and Chelsea seem to be doing good. It's just very, I never know with some of these couples, like,
Yeah.
what it is. Like, are you just, because you even said it, by the way, check out our Ultimatum season 2 coverage, especially the finale, which will be dropping soon. I swear it. But you had said it in that one that, like, what type of person does it take to actually do these love reality TV
Yes.
shows? Because it's a lot, but then it's like, who really would do this? You
That's
know?
what I'm saying. And it's like, I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum, like, hey, get it,
Yeah,
whatever, man,
yeah.
But
Take care.
it's like
Like,
it's very like for Married at First Sight, for if you haven't seen Married at First Sight, they have these like three experts,
yeah.
and they match people based on, they say they have all this data or whatever on
Yes.
them, and then they match them, and you don't find out who you're marrying until y'all are literally there on your wedding day at the altar. Like that is the first time they meet. So it's like it's interesting that the basically even Love is Blind, like the whole premise is kind of like you're supposed to be compatible without the physical or like looking at each other part.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
It's so
what?
interesting. Yeah,
It's
like, how do
so
you feel about that as
interesting.
a concept? Like, do you think so I heard, like I love watching Rob has a podcast, by the way, and, I watch all of their love reality TV show, like, coverage, and one of the women on there, another Black girl, another queen, Asia, she was just like, "Out of all the dating reality TV shows, if I was single, I would do Love is Blind," and do you feel the same way? Like, how do you feel about their format? Like, in
Absolutely
terms
not.
of love?
I just I get it. I do. However, I just think like that physical compatibility, that's a big part for not for everybody. And for everybody it's not. For me personally, I it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work because okay, even beyond the physical stuff, like, and I understand the premise, like you fall in love, it's not about
Yeah.
the physical things. However, what if they have halitosis? What am I to do about that? What am I to do about that? Like, what if you like? dig up your nose. Like, I don't know. And I just it's certain things, even beyond just like the way you look, like, nah, I
Yeah,
gotta see that.
isms.
Mm-mm. I
Yeah,
mean,
like
and thankfully, Love is Blind does, even though they're already engaged, they do give them that. I like the fact
that
that they're
time.
not forced into a marriage immediately. Like,
Yes. No,
that helps.
because Married at First Sight is like very much just like, well, here you go. You might be
Super
paired with a
arranged marriage.
psychopath. Like,
Yes.
it's so crazy. And like, it doesn't even feel like they're using that much to really go off of it. But at least with Love is Blind, you can talk to the person. It's
Right.
just with this sort of format, it gives like, ooh, like, all of the fantasy stuff, like we just
Yes.
talking on the phone, like,
Yes.
it's giving very much I could fall in love with you. I mean, without anything else that matters in the world, but then when all that stuff like that's what makes life, like
Right. Right.
it
Exactly.
does, it caves in on them, and it's so interesting to watch because you never really know, because you want to give everybody at the beginning like the benefit of the doubt, like, oh my gosh, like this person seems like so ready, so genuine, but then you
Mhm.
actually see them at play in a relationship and it's like, oh my lord Jesus, there's a lot going on here, and it's like
No,
that's a big part of your personality too, how you
right.
react to something. So
I think the
yeah,
one thing that, like, works for Love is Blind is, like, I think it does the way it's set up, I think it does force people to be more vulnerable than what they would be in a normal dating setting because,
sure,
I feel like
sure,
especially for our community, not to speak for the whole community, but, like, we're not really the type to be like, "Oh, we went on 3 dates, like, we're officially dating," and then, like,
right,
"Oh, "Oh, we've been dating for a month, now that's my man," like,
yeah.
it'd be 6 months and you still be like, "Oh, well." We love to drag it out, we love to drag it out.
We love a
So,
situationship,
we
like
love a
it's
situationship. So, it's like, I think Love is Blind, like, it definitely, and you can tell the way I feel like this season especially had, like, a lot of emotional, like, unloading for all of the
yes.
people they chose to highlight, and, like, you could tell for those people, like, that even a lot of them were like, "Oh, I've never even told anybody that before." So it's like, damn, like, I think the being able to just talk to a screen essentially, like, there's no added pressure, like, they can kind of unload. So, like, I see it.
Yeah.
I do in theory, I see it, I do. However, when it comes to reality, like, nah, and mm-mm.
It's
And
hard, like oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think too, and obviously it's still a TV show, so, like, it just has to happen this way, but the shortened timeline too, because like you said, it forces you to, okay, you, like, emotionally unload and you guys talk about all the things and you're just like, yes, this person is for me, but, like, it's also so easy to do that off of, like, a couple days, you know what I mean?
Yes! It's so easy, and, we talked about in the last, like, the ultimatum as well, about the different types of love types, and you can really see a lot of it at play, like, some of it, especially those second 2 spectrums of, like, romantic, who's projecting, who's looking for, like,
Mhm.
resumes and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
both, in a sense, can be, again, just kind of like, alright, you say a lot of these things, but then w- the real world is going to impact both sides of that. It's gonna react, like, sorry, it's going to impact whatever romantic projection you put on this person, but then it's also going to impact all of the values you like this person said that they had, but like seeing it
Yeah.
in action is going to be a lot different. So it just leaves a lot of space for fantasy, but I agree with you that like it is a more concentrated way of dating and it's nice. I think what people really love about it, like what I continuously hear from the cast is like, finally here's a group of people who have really stated that they're ready for marriage. And I don't think
Yes.
that there's I mean, do you think that if there was truly an app like that, which I feel like there are, but if there was a truly popular app like that, would people even in our generation really take that, I just don't know. Like I mean,
I don't
especially
know. I
with
think
yeah.
I think it was interesting, especially looking back at like last season couples. Like there
Yeah.
is something to be said for people who all like bringing together people who all want the same things. Like it's not
Yes.
giving, oh, one person is just looking to chill, one person is no. Like
Right.
we know everybody here is wants to get married. Like we get that. But I think in where they run into an issue is some people are so determined to get married that they're like,
Yes.
anyone who I can, like, they might not even fit together with me, but I'm gonna make this puzzle piece fit because I want
Right.
to leave here engaged. And it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, I feel like it's okay to
Yeah.
go and be like, I didn't find my person, and that is okay. Like, I think some people, that's where some of these couples get in trouble because they are
Yes.
so hell bent on leaving here engaged that, like, they are pulling for any connection that they could
Yes.
possibly make and trying to, like, force it, and it's like, "No, this is not the type of situation where it's like, maybe." Like, no.
Right.
I think that's why, you know, Brett and Tiffany last season worked so well because from
Oh,
like they had the most, I think, if the producers could have put on a page like how this is supposed to work, it would be them.
them.
You know what I mean?
Them to a T, like, excuse me, they were such a great example of a green flag couple.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
oh my
yes,
goodness. Shout out to Stefania for even coining that. Like, they were such a good example of like, all right, I've worked on myself, you've
yes,
worked on yourself. Now this I figured out what's my shit and then what do I want to be like a partnership. And I also like cuz no partner is perfect. And of course the producers worked hard to make sure that we saw them as such. But like I do like that they seem to be on the same page about like we're going to discuss what we need to discuss outside of cameras. Like they made those
right,
boundaries pretty clear early on. They still shared emotionally vulnerable stuff and still were caught in certain actions. But like I even felt like in the after the altar recently, I don't know. It's just they have even the issues that they talk about seem like I hate to say we're normal, but it's like it's not a whole bunch of baggage around it. It's understood issues. It's not perfect, and
right,
they're consistently working at it. Like
right,
she had said, like, yeah, I moved, I uprooted my life, and I
yeah,
had to start a new lifestyle. That causes certain things, but we understand that and we work through. It's not like she's blaming him, for
right.
something, or he's blaming her for something. It's they are such a great example of how this experiment can work. But not everybody's ready for that.
Right. And I think if it hadn't worked out with them, I feel like they would have left the experience and being like, okay, it just didn't work out for me. You know what I can't,
Right.
it wasn't like it, and we'll get into it, but every season, even as we saw with last season with well, I guess actually we can't say that because I was gonna say the people who do the double dip and they're like they pick one person and try to spin the block on the last one. I don't believe in that. But
Fact. They
Bliss
were
and
such
Zach.
they I loved their story too from last season, and I'm interested to see if we're gonna see the same thing this one, but I loved that he didn't just, like, give up on that, he went back. We kinda tried to but we also saw the flip side where that worked, like, Jackie went back and tried things with
Yeah,
oh boy, I can't even remember his name,
Josh.
Josh, Broccoli Airboy, tried it with him, but then literally literally they just broke up. Like
Yes.
it's like, were you just doing that? I don't know. It really could go either way. And
Yeah.
I mean, to kind of even get to this season, because it's kind of seeming like we're only going to follow three couples, which is crazy. I don't know what the next batch is gonna give, but since
Yeah.
this season, it seems like we're gonna like follow three couples. I like the fact that we're probably gonna spend a good majority of time around the people who didn't necessarily find love, and I would really
Yeah.
be intrigued by their stories too.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
It's good
Like,
to it'll be interesting to like get their like I hope they continue to follow some of the other people who may not like end up in marriage, but were close.
we're close to it and like why did it not work out because it felt like like this last season's after the altar, we knew nothing about Josh and the
Yeah,
other girl. Like I'm like, damn, I would have wanted to follow that,
right.
even if they had broken up halfway through the experience. That would have been nice to see. So I hope that they're going to nurture some of those plot lines, and they might have done that and shown that to us just to get us prepared for. Wow, yeah, okay.
True,
Oh my
true.
goodness. Um, what any other thoughts about like this season versus last one before we start to really dive into the people of this season?
Um, I don't think so. I think
No.
I'm trying to think. Um, I had please look at my no with all my reactions when I was watching.
I'm so ready. I woo, because it was like I was watching and taking. I was like, oh my gosh, like what is going on, bro? I mean,
So many interesting personalities. So
so
many
many,
interesting personalities.
such a wide
Yes.
array of people. I guess like the only last thought I have before we dive into them is just like, you know, Love Island, if you're listening, not Love Island. Oh my gosh, I kept on doing that too. I was like, Love Island, Love Island. This is Love is Blind, but it's like it has the IS in it too. You know my brain. Anyways, Love is Blind. We need a queer season, please. We got one of the ultimatum,
Okay,
but
and
I need that.
we do. And I feel like it would be so good. It would be so good.
It would be so good. Like ultimatum queer, the queer season. You know they're casting for a new one now, so I'm
Oh,
very
good. Yeah,
hyped.
it was good. The season
We're
was really good.
It was great. I would love to cover it, but, I just need them to start to expand this to their other formats
Yeah.
because we talked about I like this format, and I do think it has a better success rate than a lot of the other shows out here.
Mhm.
So I would love to see how this works, and I would love to see how it works with a queer male season. Like we
Yeah.
have not gotten that yet, but this specifically would be so fun because you have all the different options, and
Yeah.
then boom, you're moving forward and you're there because people wanna get married. Bro, it would
Right.
be so good. So,
It
yeah.
really would. Okay, I actually do
Yes, please,
before we
please.
wrap up last season, this is something that shout out to Maya, she pointed out, which was so funny. So, you know how after the last Love is Blind season, like, all these like articles come out and stuff, and
Yeah.
people, whatever, they have like all their inside scoops about the season and stuff. And one of the things that came out after last season was some of the cast members talking about how they were basically starving them on that damn set. And they were like, yeah, like there would never be food, like food would run out, blah, blah, blah. So if you watch these episodes for this season, bro, they were having close up shots of like the bacon. And I'm like, they said they not gonna say we're starving people this season.
Bro, Hot Nerd April put out the same thing. She was like, "Oh my goodness, please make sure you talk about how they kept showing the food." And I didn't realize what she was talking about until you just said it right now, but they really were. They were like, "Oh, the hot dogs, the hamburgers, the fries, like,
Right.
oh,
They
we
were
got a
you would have thought it
corn."
was Food Network. I said, okay, girl, we get it. We get it. Maya
I
pointed that
didn't
out this morning and now I can't unsee it. That shit was so funny. That shit was so funny.
Oh my goodness, so funny, so funny, so funny. Yeah, no. These producers are not slick. They are not
Uh-uh.
slick. They're
They
like,
said they will not bring we have evidence. Try
"We
me in court. Try me in court this year. Like, no.
legit, legit. Oh my goodness. Well, no, I'm very, very excited to like dive into the ins and outs
Yes.
of this freaking season. So what we're gonna try to do, y'all, is go person by person. Of course, we're probably gonna be jumping around through to the people that they were talking to as well. But I really think that it would be great for us to start with a wonderful, wonderful one of our black girls, one of our sisters, okay, Aaliyah. I
Love
mean,
Aaliyah. Love
oh
her
my
down.
goodness.
Love her
I
down.
doesn't she feel like a friend? Like
She does, and she just feels like a normal person. Like she just seems like a normal girl, which again is interesting when we talk about like the types of people who go on these shows because I'm
yes.
like, no, sis is really giving me regular, degular black girl.
Yes. She
Like
really was.
it
She
was
really
it was
was.
really like I really had no notes for her. Like until it gets into like her in relation to the people she's talking to. But like
Yeah.
her as an individual, no notes, 10 out of 10. Like I think she's so sweet. Remind me of her age again.
Oh, let's see. She's 29. Yeah. She is
And
very
okay,
much girl's
this is one
girl.
of the things that I wrote too. And I need to look back at other seasons to confirm, but I feel like there's always a lot of like, I don't want to call her older, me being 28 and her being 29, but like in terms of compared to the men, like I feel like
Yeah.
there's always like more young guys on there.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the women, or at least the women who end up getting married, end up being kind of like 29, 30, early 30s.
Yeah.
Whereas like the men, they'll be like I think like last season Marshall was young.
Yes.
Even though Jackie was young too, but I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that that's something that popped out to me this season. I was like, I feel like a lot of the women um who we like focus on, none
Yeah.
of them were really young. I think
No.
the only girl who the youngest girl was with the firefighter. I think,
Taylor,
Taylor,
yes.
yeah, I think Taylor's like 25, but
Oh,
everybody else
wow.
I think was late 20s, early 30s. And I feel like some of the
Yes.
guys were like on the younger side.
No, you're so right. I actually wrote that down in relationship to, of course, Lydia Milton's
Yeah.
relationship. That I was just watching this video by Fandom Entertainment that was talking about age by the numbers when it came to fictional stories, and just how the vast amount of love stories or just fictional stories where the men are 10, 15 plus years older,
Mhm.
with a lot of them even 6 years older than the women. Whereas most women, you'll see the largest age gap maybe be 6 years, but even the 3 years is more often. And even that, it's not even that much.
Yeah.
It's represented in media. So I was like, you know what? I am kind of glad, one, that we're getting more representation around the age gap going the other way, and some
Mhm.
other things going the other way too. But also, I do think it's a little bit more realistic. It just gives a different vibe than something like Love Island, where,
Yeah.
it's like these couples are running around like, oh, like there's so many options. They have so much of their life ahead of them. Like there is a difference between your early 20s and your late 20s and in your early 30s. Versus, I mean, I don't know about late 30s, but I think sometimes we think that early 30s we're so young. Sorry, we're so old. But it's
Yeah.
like, no, you can tell like there's still a lot of interesting stuff to
Yeah.
figure out with
Yeah.
these kind of like late 20s, early 30s people, you know?
For sure, for sure.
Oh my goodness. So,
But yes, Aaliyah,
yeah.
love her down. Just like, so cute, so smart, just
She
like so
is.
wholesome. But also, sis, and she wasn't scared. She wasn't scared to say like, "Oh, I'm a freak." I said, "Okay,
She was like, "I need somebody to suck my toes." I was like, "Oh my goodness gracious, who's this lady?" She was
I."
so funny.
She was so funny. Love
She
her.
was. I like that she was herself. I love that she's an
Yeah.
anime girl. She loves anime. I was like, yeah, she just gives me typical black girl. She gives me very Enneagram 6 energy, if anybody is Enneagram stan. And yeah, I don't know. I felt like in the first episode we were getting to know her a little bit. We were getting, and I loved her and Uche's I hope that's how you say his name, but I think that was like their initial reaction, like spark that they had. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, like they seem
Mhm.
compatible. I have thoughts on him. I will get to him in a second, but they
Yeah.
just seem like compatible. She was so very much able to articulate what she was looking for, and also
Yeah.
piece together what he was looking for, and asking the right questions about
Mhm.
values. She just got it. But I say all this, and then we get to the end where it's like their argument. And
Yeah.
I just have a lot of thoughts about that. But
I have
do you
so
think
many thoughts.
we should talk about Uche first as a person before we get into the
Yeah, yeah,
argument
but
itself?
yeah,
What
let's
are your
do like
thoughts?
person to person and then couple
Yeah.
it together.
Okay, so let's go ahead and try to find Uche as a person, and tell me, what were your initial thoughts of him?
So I like Uche.
Yeah?
Like he was giving me again, like serious guy,
Yeah.
I have my life in order. I'm ready to settle down, like very
Right.
traditional, all those good
Yeah.
things. Like, and, I think at first I couldn't tell. At first he was giving me like checkboard vibes. Like, I'm
Yes.
here, everyone, check off, job interview. Like, it was just giving it a little robotic.
Yes,
But I think,
pragmatic.
I think clearly he's just kind of like, I think that's just his personality.
Yeah.
As episodes went on, I was like, oh, I think that's just his personality.
Yes.
Um, but I think the one thing about him which was interesting, and this is like, I don't know, I feel like, especially in today's day and age where, pretty much like everybody's in therapy or like looking in therapy content for the
Yes.
most part.
Yes.
And it's on one hand, I can appreciate him like, trying to be like very intentional,
Yeah.
trying to be like very clear, very open. But at the same time, he was also giving me the vibes of, I intellectualize all my feelings, but I don't actually feel
Yes.
them. And I was
Yes.
like, okay, the way he was just talking through things when they did have, so I guess, they were getting along great.
Yeah.
They were like riding off into the sunset. They were just like, you're my person, you're my girl, blah blah, ride or die, yeah. And then, they got into the conversation about infidelity, and like,
Yep.
Aaliyah brought up the fact that she had cheated in a past relationship.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
obviously we already know, from a societal perspective, we know that is like,
That's not the
men
right thing to do.
they cannot even conceptualize like a woman cheating on them. That is just like, uh,
Out of this world.
out
You're
of,
the most worst person in the whole world. Like,
like, and, okay, we're not condoning cheating, but I was just like, yo, he was really he really just did a hard 180, and, was very, obviously he's like processing it in real time, but like clearly she was getting very emotional about it. And, she was trying to be obviously like very open and vulnerable with him. And, he was just being so harsh and kind of laying into her.
oh
Like,
my goodness.
it was just it was just like, I don't know, I feel like he could have handled that situation with so much
Way
more
different.
care. And
Whew.
again, it was just giving me robotic vibes. Like, what are your feelings though? And obviously, us as the viewer, we can see, there were some moments where he was like tearing up, and, clearly he
Yeah.
was affected by it. Like, he was hurt because I think
Yeah.
it kind of popped this like perfect bubble image that he had of her, which is
Yeah.
fair. But like, again, you trying to like, it felt like he was almost the therapist, and like, oh well, you didn't tell him for you didn't tell him, I mean, you didn't tell him for his sake. You Do you think that you did that so you would feel better? And just like going into her, and she's like, listen, I felt guilty about it, I processed that, like, that's my past. And clearly
Oof.
just like having a breakdown, and he was just going so hard. I was like, okay, relax. It's
Relax. Re- Relax. Like, but you could tell though that like that is his like that he was triggered. He was
Yeah,
triggered
yeah,
off of
for sure, for sure.
self-esteem. And it's like I don't know if it's happened to him or if that's just something that he just looks so down upon, but like he was judging her, he was shaming her. Like he got into this mode of like you call it, yes, I love how you say intellectualizing his feelings, but that was when the lawyer side of him like
Yes,
really
yes,
switched on. And it was
yes.
like it was like he was building a
The
case map.
case,
Like
yes, that's so
boom, boom,
true.
boom, boom. Like, and he just put her. You're so right that it just 180. He put her as girl, and I feel like I say this almost 20 times a week. The Madonna whore complex is so live and well, especially in the black male community. But I would just say the male community, hetero, of course. But I mean, I
Yeah,
don't even know. If, yeah, but I can only speak to hetero relationships in this sense. Like the heteros love putting women into the boxes of either you're this perfect versional or just when I say versional, I mean you're only
yeah,
for me, like you're in this perfect box, or you're the whore, and you're like, so you're out here just doing men dirty, you're not really there for
Right.
real love. Like there's no complexities for imperfection in that, and it is so wild to me. And like I think it was hard for her. I'm glad that she was kind of standing up for herself. I think
Yeah.
because she had been the one in it. I think she was letting that all wash over her, and that was, I can't imagine how scary that was. Like especially when she was already feeling like, are you really going to be down for me? And that at the first chance that he got to like really be there for her, even when she was not at her best, he took that as a moment to tear her down. And it was
Yeah.
like, and I think he realized that. He
Mhm.
realized that
At
like he
the end,
betrayed
yeah.
her trust, and like he did what he could do to turn it back around, but it was like, yeah, that showed both y'all asses. Okay, it wasn't just her that was wrong in that
Yeah.
situation, you know?
And, like, it's just I think it's so funny too because, again, with the checkboard checklist vibes, like, first of all, you're on Love is Blind, babe. This is not a normal situation.
No.
Everybody is coming in here with, like, people are gonna have baggage, like, people are gonna,
Yes.
and that's not to say you can't have deal breakers. However, I think it's very odd to go into a very specific dating situation like this and expect for someone to be 100% match on every single box. Like that is not real life. Like
It's
even if you were to meet
not.
someone at the bar, meet them like whatever, like there are going to be certain things that are not ideal. You know what I
Right.
mean? And like
Right.
that's, I think that to your point, like that's what Aaliyah was trying to say. Like,
Yes.
okay, if we're sitting here considering getting engaged sight unseen, and you're telling me you can't even get over something that happened 2 years ago, like where what are we doing? What are we talking about right now? What are we
Right.
talking about right now? And you can, again, you can feel, I don't know why you would feel hurt because I'm opening it up to you. I'm letting you
Right.
know I could have kept it quiet, but at least I'm telling you. And you're more so hurt because of, like you said, the image that you created of me,
Thank
that
you.
is now something different. But like
Yes.
I never told you to create that image. Like,
Thank you. I'm not
and
responsible. Thank you. Keep
right.
going.
And on top of that, bro, as a woman, when you're dating, I feel like I don't even ask that question. Maybe I should, but like I just assume like I don't know. Is I just feel like that is so common. It's
Yes.
literally so common that you know, again, you can make your deal breakers whatever you want to make them. You are entitled to those. But
Right.
again, I just think it's so unfair. Like it would, if every woman had a deal breaker of like, oh, I'm not gonna fuck with you if you cheated in the past, we wouldn't be talking to nobody.
No
We
one.
we would
No
not
one.
be talking to nobody. Like,
It's so interesting to me, like, bro, because oh my gosh, you already said it, but it's like if the roles were in reverse. I mean, I feel like it has come up on previous seasons, like have you
yeah,
been unfaithful? It is something, I mean, it's something that seems to be asked a lot in Love is Blind. To your point,
yeah,
it's not like I really, even in my when I was like really dating, like I even in that sense, it wasn't like I was really that concerned. It was like just something to talk about, something to
right,
what was a previous experience? And to me, a lot of it is more so about the why. And that's why I
right,
thought he
right.
was asking those questions. Like I thought that he was asking to understand the why she
Yeah.
did it. And she said it plainly. She was like, I
Yeah, I feel
wasn't
like she was
satisfied
explaining herself
sexually.
very well. Yeah.
And that was that. And he just villainized the entire vilified the entire experience. And it just hit me right now that to remember that that's how he acted in the first episode when they were
Talk about it.
and we're watching in chronological order, but when we get to know what happens in the third episode with him and Lydia, it just now puts for me like this entire thing
Yeah.
like in a whole new perspective, because
Yeah.
she even said, well, I don't even know if she asked it, but he was like, "Well, yeah, I've cheated, but it was when I was 18." And really, like, he
Yeah,
really minimized what he had done in that
yes.
situation. But then, like, you have in a sense been leaving out a big part of a truth
Huge.
that is going to shake up everything because of, again, this image. And girl, don't even get me started on All About Love, Bell Hooks. She talks about fantasy versus love. There's a
Mhm.
difference. There's a
Yeah.
difference, okay? A strong difference between who a person is and who you want them to be. And it's
Mhm.
like, I really, 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 really love that Aaliyah was always trying to keep it at, this is who I really am. And like,
Yeah.
I like to freaking uh I don't even know the crazy stuff that she was saying. She was saying some wild things of all the things
Yeah.
she loves to do, but we all love to do wild little weird stuff. Like, are you gonna be okay with that? And he was just
Right.
trying to give this perfect pinned up image.
Yeah.
Like it. Uche, he gives vanilla in a sense, and I thought of Madi. If Madi ever watches this, she loves a vanilla. She's like, I love a vanilla ass man, but he does like try to give like this like kind of pinned up image, and it's like, bro, like it's okay to have imperfections, okay?
Right. And it was just again, yeah, I don't even know if we want to get into
Yeah, get
the
into it. Get into what
episode,
happens.
but
Tell us.
so again, if you haven't watched already, if you haven't gotten to episode 3, this is when you tune out. Spoiler alert.
Yes.
Bye. Thanks for coming. Okay, now that you're gone,
Now that the girlies are here.
now that this y'all, my jaw dropped. So at the end of episode 3, this man Uche, he coming, he already crying. Guilt number 1. Guilt number 1, you already tearing up. You already know it's bad. You know it's bad. He comes in, and long story short, he tells Aaliyah that he previously dated someone who was also in the pause. Come to find out, it's motherfucking Lydia, who is Aaliyah's
Lydia.
BFF in the house. So that means both of them knew this
Both.
entire time. Both of them knew.
Both.
And in my even further beef, I understood why at first they didn't say anything. I get that because again, it kind of, it's very easy to, if they were to go and tell everybody, oh, I dated this person before, then people could be like running to Lydia to get the tea on Uche, vice
Right.
versa. People could be doing the same to Uche. Some of the guys could be doing that to Uche to get tea on Lydia, and like
Right.
defeats the purpose because you're not supposed to know what anyone looks like.
Right.
It's supposed to be love is blind. I 100% understand that.
Huh.
However, once you start talking about, oh, you're my person, blah, blah, blah. And on top of that, you already had this super vulnerable conversation where, where y'all ran into a rift because of, you felt like she was hiding something and holding something back from you. That
Whew.
was your perfect opportunity to turn around and then immediately say, oh, well, I know this happened. Let me also spill my guts to you. And he
Thank
did.
you.
And he didn't.
And he
And
judged and he shamed her.
that's what I'm
Mind
saying.
you.
On top of that, and
It's
then
so
the
crazy
tea,
to me.
and then the real tea, the real tea. Because
Whew. Speak on it.
when, so once, while they're having this conversation, and then, Aaliyah has already had her conversation with Lydia, who we will get into. She's
Girl.
already had her conversation with Lydia, and Lydia immediately blew me, which is in the same way Aaliyah figured that it would blow her, because she's like, I've met his dog, I've met his friends, I've da 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 da. Girl, ma'am, I
Pause.
don't want to
I
hear.
just told you. I just told you. I just told
I
you.
literally just told you I don't want to hear none of that shit.
But
I
none of that.
don't want to hear none of that shit. And you proceed to do that. But she did give us a little tiny detail.
What she
And
said.
when Aaliyah and Uche were talking, and at first Aaliyah was saying, like, I think she was like recounting some of the stuff that Lydia said. And he clearly made a face at first because I think she like misconstrued something that they showed us footage of. Like, it was when um Lydia, so Aaliyah told Uche that Lydia said he had wanted to start from ground zero when the
Yes.
footage showed that Lydia's the
She
one who
wanted to start from ground
he did
zero.
not want no parts, which I give him credit for. He didn't want no parts. He didn't want no parts. So that was again another Lydia. I'm side eyeing you, girl. I'm fucking
Side
side eyeing
eye.
you.
It that
But then
bro.
so I was like, okay, well, clearly, first of all, it didn't happen that way. And you could tell
No.
he was about to like defend himself. And I think he even said, well, that's not like how that conversation went. But
Sure.
then when she dropped and y'all fucked 3 months ago, I said, and he didn't have nothing to say. I said, oh, so now we're quiet. Speak up. Come into the light. Come to the mic. Step forward. Because
Oh my
you didn't
gosh.
have nothing to say when she said that, did you?
Nothing.
You couldn't refute that. I said, oh,
Uh, two
oh.
years 2 years was not too long ago, right? How about 3 months?
How about 3 months? How about it? How about it? How about it? My jaw dropped. Do you know what I wrote in my notes?
What's
Let's look at the immediate reaction. Immediate reaction. Lydia and Uche are wild. You snake bitch. And that could go for either gender. Either gender.
Wow.
I said,
Because
wow.
because
Wow.
it all like came, everything got recontextualized because
Everything. I said,
ah,
what?
I felt like I went exactly through what Aaliyah did. The producers did
Literally.
their
We need to go back
thing.
to page one. I said, hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Like from the moment that Aaliyah first came in excited about Uche, from the moment she came in talking about Uche, because Lydia was just like, oh my gosh, her favorite line, I see so much of me in you. You're so much like me. We're givers. We're this. We're that. Like, and I was really, they had just like this such girls
Yes.
relationship, and I was like, I love this. It's very emotional. I could tell, like, I'm starting a personality type. I'm like, they're both givers, but Lydia's definitely more of a giver than Aaliyah in a sense. But like, Aaliyah would give stuff to Lydia that she needed to hear, and Lydia would do the same. Like, they both just loved on each other, and I was
Mhm.
like, this is so important to see, especially in my head, when you're just getting to know somebody and showing up for that person,
Yeah.
as a friend. Like, Aaliyah was already thinking about Lydia as like an auntie figure, a sis figure, like in
Right.
her life. Like, and I can only imagine, they say like stuff like Survivor, stuff like this, like you're in the pods with these people for so long,
Yeah.
they become damn near like family like that, it's
Mhm.
like, and I could get why she had that, but then to know that for the whole time, and I'm one of those people where it's like, if you're holding something back, that's just as bad as a lie to me.
Yeah.
Like, that is just as bad as a lie. And I couldn't decide if it was him who needed to tell her first or Lydia, but for the fact that like it just went on for so long, and Lydia was like, "Oh, I was like, oh no, 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 no,
Baby.
no, 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 no. Oh,
Baby.
then what
It
would you
was
told me?
And
Like,
for me, it was her consoling Aaliyah when their fight. Cause I'm like, you sat up here and I cried
stress.
down in your face. And you're sitting here talking about, well, he has a business and he's a lawyer, and if he doesn't do this, then like you're better than this. And it's like, well, were you saying that because you really want to see us together and you really want what's best for me? Or are you saying that because you don't want to see us together? And
Yeah.
you were pushing me in the way of like, oh, stand up for yourself, girl. Like, don't let him walk all over you, blah, blah, blah. Like, were you pushing that to like further create a rift? Like
Yeah.
now I don't know. I can't tell if you were like where those intentions were coming from because
Thank you.
you wanted to be sitting on fucking secrets.
No,
Like,
it was so weird, like, because even I clearly am a YouTube girly. I was watching a reaction video to episode 1, just episode 1, from one of my
mhm.
favorite YouTubers, Nicole Davies. She's from London. She's so freaking funny. Black girl. But she was like, already, she hasn't watched any of the other episodes. She was like, I didn't like how Lydia, she was kind of giving like she was like, I'm side eyeing her a little bit because why was she like already telling Aaliyah that Uche, wasn't that good for her? Like, it's like, yes, he has his flaws and stuff like that. But she was just like, I'm already side eyeing her. I'm like, girl, you don't even freaking know what's about to come because,
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. And it
ev-
it was just, especially when it was coming from this, like, I don't know, kind of like big sis like energy. Like, I
yes.
don't like that. I don't like that. I don't
I don't
like
like that.
that.
It feels so manipulative when you
Yes.
omit the truth, but
Yes.
it's like I can't you need to give me the choice. Both of them, Uche and Lydia, should have given Aaliyah the choice of how she was gonna feel about that way ahead of time. Like it can be debated the win. I agree with you that like, okay, it it didn't have to be at the offset because then it probably would have
Right.
given a chance. But like at
Once
some
you
point in
knew,
time,
I feel like once you started considering, like, I am only focusing my energy on Aaliyah, that should have been okay. Like, I'm serious about you. Let me lay it all on the table. That should have been the point in time. Like, I understand, like you said, the initially, you're still dating around other people in the pods, but once he locked in on her, that needed to be said immediately. Immediately.
immediately, because it also could have been it begs the question of how much baggage that they actually have in their old relationship because it sounds like quite a lot.
Sounds like more than what he put on.
It sounds like what he wanted to put on, and definitely even more so than what Lydia put on because she was just talking about like how he was there for her when she didn't have any friends or anything like that. Like they were together for a bit
That's
of
what I'm saying.
time.
She's talking about, "Oh, I've met his friends and family. I got
His
a toy
dog.
for his dog." I said, and the way she was talking about, let me tell you something. That shit grinds my gears.
Why?
You are not about to sit up here in my face and talk about the person I'm considering marrying, I'm considering getting engaged to, and you're sitting here trying to like almost like one up me, like, oh, well, I know him
Yes.
so good, girl. Let me give you all the no, save it. Keep that. I
He
especially after she told you, yeah, I don't want to like Aaliyah literally told her too. She was like, I still want you to be in my life. Like, I consider us like
yes.
genuine friends. However,
Yes.
like boundaries, I don't
These are
want to
my
hear it.
boundaries
I don't want to hear about that. And then sis proceeds
to
to
do it.
give a e true life story. Like, I can't.
It
I was
it
like,
it you can tell, you can just tell that she's not over that situation, and I
100%.
love I
100%.
love that they have that, like, flashback because yes, and I think that that's gonna be so key for Aaliyah to see now. I'm so excited for this reunion, but, like, for her to really see, like, no, 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 no. She wanted that.
Yep.
She wanted Uche back.
Yep. Bad.
And
Bad.
Uche, I mean, it's so interesting with him because I completely know it's very clear that he is over that and moved on to something else. Although he wanted to dress it up in a nice little bow, which it is not. But
Right. Right.
Lydia, let's get into old Lydia, girl.
Let's 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 move on to Miss Lydia.
because the first note I have for her is very, very, very forthcoming to the point that like like with any of the guys, especially with Izzy, just feels like she's projecting her feelings onto like the other person. And like I wanted to ask you, like, because we start with her and Izzy, what were your vibes as far as the way she deals in romantic relationships?
My note, the one of the notes that I had for Lydia was like, Lydia does not need to be on this show. This is not the format for her. It's
It's
not,
not.
because she, I don't know. I think there's, and I think there's been a lot of, I've been seeing a lot of videos about this on TikTok too, where, I think it's a lot of people who are like seeking out romantic relationship. There's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like a
No.
lot of people, if you say you want to be in a relationship, or you're looking for that romantic connection, people will be like, oh, well, like, work on yourself first, like the right person will come. And like, girl, it's not always given that. And like, it's okay. It is okay to say like you want that relationship, you want that romantic connection.
Yeah.
However, I think it can get into it can like travel into the bad end of the spectrum when
Yes.
you are just like craving it so bad that I just don't think she was coming from it from a healthy perspective of, "Oh, I
No.
wanna be married." Like, obviously, everybody there wants to be married, but
Right.
clearly, this is a crazy ass experiment. However, like, she just wanted it so bad, and I feel like she was one of those people who, like, literally, whoever is the first fish to catch onto my line, that's the one, and it's like,
No, oh my gosh, it was her, and I felt like Jody, which I cannot wait to get into her as well.
yeah,
They were both doing this thing where it's like, I wanna say lies, what it was to me the definition of love bombing, not to throw around a
yes,
bunch of therapy
yes,
language,
right,
but it just felt like, especially for Lydia, not Johnny, I'm gonna say things because this is the things that I wish you were saying to me. And I
yes,
want you, I'm saying it to you so that you say it back to me. And then like we're in this reciprocal, like it is a give to get in that sense. And it's like, what are you really reading here? And I respected the fact that Izzy did in things, he didn't let it go
yeah,
too far because we've
yeah,
seen in previous seasons where the guys, they love it so much, they love that the woman is beefing up their ego so much that they'll keep on egging her on.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's like, I'm glad that he stopped it where it was, because
mhm,
sis, she was just like, it was just weird. And I even said, I was like, oh my gosh, this is before I even knew. I was like, she's being just nice, but kind of two-faced. Um, I don't know why I wrote that down. I should have wrote why. I was like, she is wearing this green suit. That's really funny. But yeah, she gives like romantic projection of whatever
yes,
fantasy she has, and then
yes.
anchored. Like, I project onto you, and now you're mine. And
Yes,
it's like,
yes, and it just gave the feeling of, watching her progress through, it was just like, I don't think she would have been okay leaving without an engagement. Like,
oh my
she
gosh.
was going to do everything in her power to make sure she left there engaged, because it almost
Yeah.
felt like it kind of gave like, this is my last chance. Like, she was just like,
Yes.
the way she was just like crying and like, I just want to
Yeah.
be loved. And like,
Yeah.
again, I think everybody can, sympathize with that to an extent.
Yeah.
Everybody, for not, I don't want to say everybody, but like a lot of people,
A lot of people.
want their
Yeah.
person. Like, that's completely normal. But for her to go that hard again when it wasn't being reciprocated, I could see if they, if it was some of the other couples who made it a little further into the process and
Yes.
were really kind of debating between two people. Okay, her and Izzy, y'all were not even going on that long. Y'all
No,
were not
and
even
she
going,
was
and you knew that
already,
he had strong connections with multiple people. So, like,
it gave competition, and that's
give
where it's sometimes,
competition.
like, it's so interesting with these shows, like, even when we get into the other triangle here, oh my gosh, there were so many triangles, there's so many
So many triangles,
triangles
so many
in this
triangles.
show, and,
Even
like,
geometry.
literally geometry, and it's happened in previous seasons too. We
Yeah.
had a couple of different love triangles in season 4, but like in this one, when we explore the triangle of her, Johnny, and Stacy, it's so interesting, the dynamic. I loved, actually. Stacy was an interesting one for me, but I actually did like her technique of not talking about the
Yeah.
relationship with Izzy, although we'll talk about them as a couple. But I think that it did lessen the whole we're in a competition vibe that has sometimes been the approach, like even with Bliss, Zach, and
Yeah.
Irina. I felt like that's why Zach wound up making the wrong decision, because like Bliss and Irina knew that they were kind of against each other, and then where Bliss was talking about him and Irina, I like that Stacey stayed out of that, because with Izzy and Johnny, they both did give like that competitive vibe, and it's like, I'm gonna win him, I'm gonna win him, I'm gonna win whoever. It's just
Yeah,
something to win, and it's like, love is not something to win. Like, you know, I mean, it's a trophy in some sense, but it's not in that regard. Like, oh, I won. You don't even know this man. You know,
right,
he's the
and that's
most. Go ahead, go ahead.
no, you go ahead, sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
cut you.
no, no, no. I was pretty much done. I was gonna say he is the most charismatic man. But I
Yeah,
really, before we go into him, I want to
yeah.
hear your thoughts about Liddy, because I have thoughts about Izzy. I do. I have thoughts.
No, I 100% agree, and this is something LOL, TikTok therapy again, but where people, like, oh, like, a common thing that I've been seeing recently too is just, like, your like you said, love is not a competition, and, like, when you're dating, you're not dating so that, this person can, like, I don't know, grow into this person who they're supposed to be. Like, either
Right,
y'all are compatible or you're not. Like, either this person has qualities that are compatible with you and that will, like, fulfill you and act in a way that will fulfill you, or they don't. Like,
right.
it's not like you can't the whole, like, win somebody's heart, dumb as hell. Dumb as hell, babe. Like, literally, you
Not gonna
can't
happen.
what are you doing? This is not a competition, like,
No.
you can't there's nothing in anything that you're doing to kind of compete with someone is, like, it doesn't feel genuine because you're doing things to try to prove that you're a better match, and it's like, you
Yes.
didn't have to prove that you're a better match. Either that person feels like y'all are compatible or you're not. Like,
Yeah.
it's weird, and I thought that another note that I wrote was I and this was a Johnny and I wanna say Chris,
Let's talk about it.
thing. I just didn't like when people talked about their other connections. I think it's
I didn't like it either.
I agree that you should, let people know, "Oh, I do have strong connections with other people," but, like, I don't like when people say, "Oh, well," I think Johnny was like, "Well, Izzy kinda, like, fulfills me in this way, but when I think about you," and it's like, why are you doing that? What is he supposed to so now what is he supposed to say certain things to change your mind? Like, that's not doing anything for you. That's not helping that's not gonna make it more clear. I don't know. It gets to a weird point, like you said, it gets to a weird competitive point when you get to that space.
Yeah.
Like, well, with him, this is how I feel. And then the other person now they're gonna feel like obligated or pressured to be like, "Well, no, I can do that too." And it's like, "See,
Yeah.
we've already lost.
We've
We've
already
already
we've
lost."
already it oh my gosh, yes. I when it comes let's pop over because I have a couple of other thoughts about Lydia, but I think it'll come up even in the sense of Johnny as well, because I think they both struggled with the romantic side of things. They both ring romantic versus pragmatic. So what I
Mhm,
mean by that is Uche. Uche is very, very pragmatic. He
mhm.
came in there with the standard and he was searching for that. Versus I feel like there's no wrong way of doing it. There's just unhealthy ways of doing this. And
Yeah,
Johnny and Lydia, it felt like they already have the romantic projection that they're looking for. They're just looking for who are they going to put that projection on. And
mhm.
I do think that like one of the issues that can come with crushes is like you feel you get to this person with like Izzy, for example. Izzy seemed like a very charismatic guy, just in general. He honestly gave me Bartise vibes, not gonna lie, because
Yeah,
Bartise in the beginning, I was actually feeling Bartise in season 3, I think that
yeah,
was.
3, I think.
Um, I I was actually feeling him, but then slowly over time you start to see, of course, this person is not like charisma, it can only get you so far. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
And I'm not saying Izzy and Bartise are the same person, but I do think that women often, and hetero women, they often get like very mesmerized by, oh my gosh, this person has the gift of gab. He can flirt with me.
yes.
He can
Girl,
like,
yes.
he's given me all the things, like, I all the fantasy stuff that I'm able to
Yes.
like. That's that can only take you so far, okay?
A
And like
talker.
Johnny for her, like it was let's focus on Johnny now, cuz I'm not gonna lie, I connected with Johnny. I think
Mhm.
Johnny was she was so soulful, you know, like
Yeah.
she was wise. Like obviously she had been through so she's been through things, you know, and it's like that's very real. That's very
Mhm.
those are very real experiences. I'm glad that she was forthcoming with it. But I
Yeah.
do think that she sometimes falls into this bucket of like, oh, I am my trauma, you know, and like her mother has or you're supposed to win an award for that, you know, because even like her comparing herself to Stacy, like who's not as good with the emotional depthness, is like that's just because you are very soulful, you're very emotional. Stacy's not. There's no right or wrong in that, you
Right,
know. It's
right.
just what like her whole thing, like oh he's gonna regret not going with Stacy
I
but going with
hated that.
me. I
I
was like,
hated that. I
"Oh,
really
you're
hated that.
losing me. You're
You're
losing me,
losing.
Johnny."
Yeah,
How did you
I
feel?
didn't
Yeah.
yeah, I agree, like, starting out the season, like, I didn't really have any, like, bad notes for Johnny. I was just like, "Oh," like, her, connection with, you know, Izzy and Chris were
Yeah.
blossoming. I could definitely tell that she felt a stronger connection with Izzy, and
Yeah.
I think just on that kind of, like, just sort of emotional kind of aspect,
Yeah.
I think, she was more drawn to him. Like,
Yes.
again, that could be because of the charisma, it could be whatever, but she was
Yeah.
definitely more drawn to him.
She
And I
was.
could tell that you could tell that Chris did feel like a safe option for her.
Yes.
Um, but again, so overall, like I didn't really have any notes for her. But then towards the end, once Izzy, you know, basically like started like questioning. I don't want to say start
Yeah.
questioning, but when he was, clearly like not all in on her as she was with
Yeah.
him, I was like, literally, when she started like begging him at one point, I
Oh
said,
my
"Girl,
gosh.
please stand up." And maybe, maybe that's my issue. Maybe I'm just not as vulnerable, but baby, stand up right now.
No,
Stand, stand
stand
up
up.
right now. And I
It
will say at one point, it was interesting because I almost felt like Izzy at one point might have led Johnny to think that she was the only one, and like they were
yes!
both going in alone on each other, which is why she ended up cutting off Chris.
Yes! That's
I don't
exactly
think
what
she
happened.
I don't think she would have cut off Chris if they didn't have that conversation
Sure.
um before that. But at the end of the day, it's still her decision. But I was like, then when Johnny did he kind of did like a little 180. He always had strong
He
connections, but
did.
like I was like, oh, oh, okay. Um, so I felt bad for Johnny in that moment, but
Yeah.
again, I think in a situation like that, it's like that's not the time to retreat to
Oh my gosh, back to
comparing
Chris?
me
Like,
comparing me to the other girl, and this is why I'm better. Like
yeah.
it's if after all that, if after all that, and me saying I'm all in for you, like I cut off my other connections, if you are still on the fence, then like you're still on the fence. There's nothing
Yes.
that I can say to like make myself look better to you versus this other
No.
girl. You don't know what they talk about. You don't know anything about that. So like, babe, stand up.
Sta
Stand up.
it
Please.
it's like she spiraled
Yes,
into
you could
unhealth.
literally see her spiraling. Yes, you
You
could
could
literally see
see
her spiraling.
and it's so hard because I should probably always preface these videos, and I know you feel the same, Carmen, with like we're obviously judging off of a highly edited show. These
Oh,
people are
100%
in a experience. We would probably not come off looking the cleanest at all when our
at all.
emotions are into this. So I'm not judging her as a person, but it does give us a like from a character lens, a very two-dimensional model to work off of like what to do in certain situations and what not to do in certain
Yeah.
situations. And I just do not condone the whole like now it's got to become this competition. For it's like she took a couple of different missteps. One, I do completely agree with you that Izzy was really feeling Johnny. I think he loved the fact that Johnny had been in a marriage and he had been in an engagement.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that like similar to Zach last season, he was like a little bit, in a sense, looking for like a trauma bond where
Yes.
it's like, okay, we've been like, I think that's what Zach was doing with Irina, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
you've been judged, I've been judged, and now we're
Yeah.
not going to judge with each other. But it's like, who, like, we've got to think about a little bit past that.
Right.
And when it came to Johnny, I think he was really feeling her. I actually like the fact that he liked that they could get a little bit deeper. I actually really was
Yeah.
really liking Izzy and Johnny from
I
the
did
offset,
too.
because
I had a
and
note for them with the eye emojis.
like,
Because I
bro,
was like, okay, I kind of see that.
I see it, and yeah, I was about to keep going with Johnny. I had thoughts to say, but now I even just have to talk a little bit about Izzy, because he was giving pragmatic in the sense of, like, he wasn't just looking for a fun time. He wasn't just well, it seemed like he wasn't just looking for a fun time, which he was getting with Stacy. He seemed like he wasn't just looking for somebody who to just big up him, which that's what Lydia was giving. It seemed as if he was trying to give, who am I going to work with from the long run when it came to Johnny, and like
Mhm.
them being able to work through the messy stuff ahead of time. But it feels like with any of these guys, with Izzy or with Uche, when they are actually telling you the messier parts of who they are, that's when they run for the hills. Uche didn't
Yes.
run as far as Izzy did, but Izzy felt like he did do a complete 180 on her. He told her, "Claim me," like,
Yeah.
and she
Literally,
did.
yes, yes. When he was like, I want someone who to be like, no, I want you. And she literally said, I want you. And then he said, whoa. And
He
I
let her
think
say goodbye.
the story, again, like you said, when she was being open with him about her marriage and her other relationship, and I think it triggered him knowing that she said like her ex-husband was a rebound and she
Yep.
didn't like really love him the way that she
Yeah.
loved her other relationship. Like, I think that triggered that abandonment in him so bad because he has said
Yes.
that he was like, I don't want someone to give up on me. I don't want to get
Yeah.
abandoned, like all that good stuff. And I
Yeah.
think it just, especially in this type of experiment with marriage, I think he
Yeah.
was scared of like, okay, well, she could marry me and really not be in love with me, even though she said she was,
Yeah.
and that we're gonna turn around and get divorced or whatever. So like, I understood that, but he didn't communicate that. He just pulled
No.
back, and that's why she started spiraling.
No, he didn't say any of that, and, like, I I don't know, it was very interesting. I can't judge him for it because
Right.
he made the decision, he's sticking by it, and honestly, I don't I don't think it's a bad choice to go with Stacy. I mean, I think he made it because he was like, "I just don't wanna deal with all of Johnny's baggage," and I
Yeah.
don't think that was necessarily the strongest reason why you should go with Stacy, because I'm glad that also Stacy, let me bring her up too, is standing in her own, like, I'm not a I'm not an emotionally deep person. I like to keep it kind of surface level. This is things that are very hard for me. I just think that, I hope Izzy was very intentional about which struggle he was going to pick.
Right.
Like he didn't communicate that to Johnny, but he hasn't even really communicated that with us either. Like, I don't know if they ever
Yeah.
captured a confessional of him, like, comparing the two, and I kind of wish that they did, because, like, just because you didn't want all of Johnny's baggage, that doesn't mean Stacey doesn't have baggage of her own she's just not talking about. That
Right.
doesn't mean that, like, you're not gonna have struggles with Stacey just because she keeps it up, 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 and because
Right.
y'all haven't gotten there yet. Johnny and Aaliyah were trying to be as forthcoming as possible. And,
Right.
like, I
Especially
think
in
that
this
is
type
kind of
of
wild.
experiment, like, yeah, like, you're literally coming in cold, like, you have no tea on this person, you don't know
None.
any background information, like, you have to get the dirty stuff out, and, like,
Out.
I think Stacy is gonna be one of the more interesting characters
Yes.
to follow through the season because she gave us nothing, like, honestly,
Nothing.
I promise you, I have almost, like, 0 notes for her because she just was kinda, like, there. She was just there and popped up engaged, and it was just like, "Oh, okay." Like, she just to your point, like, she said she wasn't really, like, big into, emotions and things like that.
Right.
And I think, of course, this is a highly edited show. Like, this is still entertainment. So they
Yeah.
probably didn't show a lot of footage because she wasn't like spilling her deepest, darkest secrets. Like,
Right.
I get that. But like, it's going to be so interesting to see what things come out, like
Yes.
for context, that'll bring context to their relationship as they like
Yes.
move forward. Because yes, this really just like gave us nothing, flew under the radar, and then popped up engaged. And love that for you. But it's gonna be, I have the biggest like, I'm question marks around her. I'm so interested in
Yes.
how her story plays out.
I am too because it's like that whole triangle. First, Lydia not working out because yeah, that wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
Johnny, Johnny letting go of Chris and Izzy judging her for her trauma and her spiraling. But then it's like the rebound of Stacy. Stacy was able to keep a whole ass secret about all of the stuff that she was going through with Izzy. I mean, Johnny knew about it, but
Yeah.
like she hadn't told anybody, and you could see her when she was breaking down
Yeah.
after her engagement,
Yeah.
like, I can finally release. Like, she's a very guarded person.
Mhm.
Like, it's
But
so
I think that's so interesting that she would come on a show like this though, because like did maybe, and again, I think like I said in the beginning, I think the format of it, a lot of people who are so emotionally guarded feel like they can let down their walls because there's no
yes.
one in front of them. Like
Yes.
it really prompts you to be vulnerable
Right.
without like a lot of, what am I trying to say, like without consequence, honestly.
Yes.
And like, but for her, it's like, I'm like, you went on a show where you don't to get married,
Yes, in front
like,
of everyone.
in in this like very unique way, but
Mhm.
you don't like to get emotionally deep. Well, babe, you're talking about potentially marrying a stranger for life. Like,
Yes.
that's gonna have to come up at some point. And like, I think with all these reality shows, this like dating reality shows, it always comes up that like, I hope these people are, like you said, none of us are perfect. Like, I'm sure
Yeah.
we would show up a very specific way on camera, but I hope y'all are doing some self-work too, because we cannot just jump into marriage and think that's going to fix everything. Babe, some things
No.
need to be fixed individually. And that can happen at the same time. It doesn't have to be one before the other.
Right.
However, I'm going to need you to address that, because you are gonna merge your life with a stranger who you
Yes.
just met for the first time. Y'all are talking about getting married, and you haven't even dived in deep on like emotional things.
Not
That
at
is
all.
it's so what you got a month. I'm very curious to see how they play out. Very
I'm
curious.
very curious because she gives me teas of like Colleen and Matt, particularly Colleen,
Mm,
where Colleen was like so afraid to get deeper.
yeah.
And but obviously that's stuff that you're going to have to deal with, and it's so hard. Like, I'm even realizing this now, like even in a relationship, like sometimes it's like, well, I don't want to do all that work. Like, I just want to have fun. I
Yeah.
just want to have
Yeah.
fun. I just want to have fun. But it's like, no, you have to do that work together to have fun. And so yeah, it's I mean it did give from Stacey's vibe. She did also give kind of on that competition vibe. I did like her choice. I did like her choice of
Yeah.
not talking about it, but I think the only reason she won, and I say that with the strongest quotation marks in the world, because who the fuck cares about winning a man?
Right.
Whew,
Please. Yeah.
let's just
Full
put that to
stop.
the side. But like the fact that she won, I think was only contingent upon the fact that she didn't. She came off so
Yeah,
like
yeah, easy.
you
She came off
know,
easy,
pick
like
me.
yes, yes, like, it just gave very easy, like, "Oh, like, we just have fun and we keep it light, and, yes, like, I care about you,
I'm cool
but
girl. I'm cool
yeah,
girl.
I'm a cool girl, I'm a cool girl."
Period.
That's yeah,
That
we'll
was
see.
it. We'll
We'll
see.
see.
We'll
We'll
see.
see.
So we had her. Woo. Did you see how fluidly we just went through that entire triangle of Aaliyah to Uche to Lydia to Izzy to freaking Johnny to Stacy? I think we do have to rewind back to kind of just Johnny and like how she her and Chris, because
Yeah,
when it
yeah.
came to like just even a little bit more notes on Johnny, hated that whole thing where she was like, her mom had basically said, maybe you're not the type of person that should be in a relationship. Like, yeah, she is just like, her family doesn't really seem to support her in the sense of
Mhm.
like the choices that she's made. And I think she is trying to unpack that with the, again, she's grown, she's wise beyond her years, but of course,
Yeah.
none of us are perfect, and like she still has some baggage there. But like when it came to her and Chris, I don't, now, Carmen, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I don't think it's bad to go with a safe option. Who doesn't want to feel safe in a relationship? I
I
don't
don't
get
think
that.
I
Like,
don't think so either. I don't and I think her but I think she kinda said that as a cop out. I don't know if I believe that she actually thought that, like, Chris was a safe option because when she was talking to Izzy about Chris, she said, like, "I do care for him a lot, like, I really like him, but I think it's more of a friendship." And I think that is
yes,
a different conversation than someone being a safe choice. And I think when she
true.
spun the block on him, it's easier to say, "Oh, well, I backed away from you because I thought you were a safe choice, and, like, traditionally, I've always went against that, and that's my problem," versus you were talking about, "You saw me as a friend." We're talking about marriage. There is no
Yes,
room for potential friend zoning. So, like, I kinda felt like that was a cop out that she said to him to try to win him back because, again, spiraling, she wants to, and to your point, like, I think maybe her coming here is also giving a little bit, I'm trying to prove myself that I can have this
yes,
successful relationship that
yes,
is good for me. And, she's just trying to get that back. And she's like, you know what? Chris is a safe option. He's a good
yes,
guy. I could see how our life plays out together. Like, I'm gonna like double back on that. But like,
yes.
if you're admitting to another man that you thought you saw me more as a friend, then we don't really have anything to talk about right now. And
Bro.
I am a huge proponent of, like,
Oh, yeah.
whoever you're dating, like, y'all should be in a friendship, like,
Right,
base level,
right.
100%. But, like, I just thought it was so interesting that she told Izzy that, she thought it might be more of a friendship. And then when she presented it to Chris, she
Yeah.
didn't present it that way. So I was like, okay, girl, but what is it? Is it
What
Uchi
is it?
or is it one mic? Like, what
No,
is the
she
truth?
what is the truth? She it, again, Ray very manipulative. I think Chris, I don't know if he's going to propose. It doesn't seem like he is, but I think that's the right choice not to,
Yeah,
because you have you.
I
I
love
think
that for him.
I
I was like,
love that for him.
you better stand up for yourself and you better
Pro-
protect yourself. You better,
Protect your heart.
yeah,
Protect your heart, because don't take the crumbs. Like, and I
yeah.
don't even think that, like, because what I'm trying to say is this: sh- Johnny is an unreliable narrator at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
She's we can see, similar to Lydia, that a part of this is just a projection. A part of this is a prove herself, a pride thing. Like, it can get all jumbled up. But as I project my own things to onto these people,
Right, right.
I don't think it's bad. Like, when she's talking about whatever, whichever mouth she was speaking out of, I did believe the fact when she was talking about, usually I go for the emotionally unavailable guy. And
Yeah.
I read that as Izzy, he's the charismatic guy. He's
Mhm,
obviously giving Mr. Popular in this context specifically.
mhm.
And he seems like the funner option. I would be winning. I would be, you know, whatever. Like, versus Chris, like, seems like the more stable, sure, like, sure bet. That seems more boring to me. Why would I go with the more sure bet? Like, I do feel as if Chris and Johnny, they gave very similar energies. I believed her when she said it was more of a friendship thing. I also just think that's also a good thing. Like, I
Yeah.
was just like, why aren't you seeing more? Again, with the Tiffany and Brett stuff, you could probably read a lot of their compatibility as if it's boring. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
give me fucking boring. I'll take the boring, okay? Like, I felt like, it gave context to why her family might be saying, you know, I don't agree with that, she's not, like, she shouldn't be in a relationship, but it's like, your choices that you're making and the reasons why you're making them cause me pause,
Yeah.
because it's like, Why were you picking Izzy over Chris? Was it because he gave you butterflies, which is also code for anxiety, and Chris wasn't?
Let's talk about it.
Because if like
It
I
was
don't
giving like it was giving she was giving like she likes I don't not that she likes to do it purposely, but like
yeah.
it's like I like need to like work for love or like I need to like
Yeah.
prove myself for love. And again, getting into like the
Yes.
competition bag, like I want to like win this person's love. When
Yes.
Chris was giving, and he said this too, he was like, I just want somebody to love me like for me as I am. And he was giving Johnny that. And it was just like, I think for Johnny, it's like sometimes people can be drawn to the competition. Quiet as kept. People can be
Yes.
drawn to the competition because they want to feel like, well, you pick me out of everybody else. And that kind of puts yourself on a pedestal of like,
Yes.
oh, I was picked out of everybody else. Like all these girls wanted your attention, but you picked me. When it's
Yes.
like, okay, but why do you have to like work for your love? Like,
I don't get, and it becomes that. I think that Micah and Paul last season were that. Like they both heard and got insecure that, oh, y'all, you have strong connections with somebody else, pick me. And they both let
yeah,
go of theirs and they won. And they but then they didn't even win because, oh, guess what? Now you gotta live with that person. That
right.
oh, guess what? Now you gotta have a life with that person. And now all the real stuff comes into play. It's just like I think that she in a sense self-sabotage. I think that's the best
Oh,
way
yes, yeah,
to
I think so too, yeah,
wrap
especially
it
for
up.
someone who, you know, who, like, very, like, she's very open to fact, that she has, like, a tumultuous relationship history.
Yes.
So for her to kind of like push away the fact that she was saying, I could so clearly see our life, and it's like, so you don't, so are you saying you don't want that? Like what was bad about that? Because like you said, you didn't have the sparks or like the fun. Like to me, it was like your priorities are mixed up because you can
Yes.
you can create fun. Like
Yes.
you
Especially when you're the romantic, like,
right,
yeah.
y'all could find adventures, and that's something that kind of I think that's one of those things that you can't tell from this type of setup. Like
Yeah.
that's gonna come in when y'all actually are able to spend time together. How
Yes.
does that work? Then you're gonna be able to see, okay, like this is how he, livens up our relationship, or these are the things he do. Somebody can talk all day about the stuff they're gonna do, but stuff like that, you're not going to see that really play out until y'all are actually together. But when it
Yeah.
comes to like again, the main priorities of like loving you as they are, like do you feel
Yeah.
emotionally safe with them? Like
Yes.
those things that are like important, like he was giving her those things. And
Yeah.
again, definitely don't get engaged to somebody out of pity. Like if she wasn't
Oh,
feeling it, if
yeah.
she didn't pick
Right.
him, then like
Right.
girl, that's it.
That's
But
it.
her trying to spin the block, I was just like,
Oh, no.
sis, like,
No.
oh,
She lost me completely.
uh,
That's when that was the point because she had lost me a little bit with the whole Stacy comparison thing, but she
yes,
lost me
and on that part when
completely.
she was like, did you peep the part where she was talking to another girl who was in the pods? She wasn't like a prominent person, but she was like, uh yeah, and he was telling me about his credit score, and he just
Girl,
knew. I
oh
said,
my gosh. I literally
"Now
wrote
the
in my
credit score is a
notes,
problem." It wasn't a problem before, babe. It
girl,
wa It
I
seems like he's not ready
literally
for commitment, but you were in there begging and pleading. Oh, okay. Alright.
I literally said the dig about the credit score is kind of low. But she's hurt.
Yeah,
Something just doesn't ring true about her. Like
yeah. It was
she
giving #hurt girl. And
hurt
I
girl,
get it, but let's
but
not act like you were
still.
not just begging that man. Begging.
Bro, it was so interesting seeing the wide range of human emotions in these
Yes,
conflict in these because it was like I get it, you're hurt, but
right.
what you do to act out of your hurt, that is what we need to be focused on right now, not on Izzy. we need to be focused on how you're dealing with this hurt. It was just so interesting. I'm glad Chris is a little lover boy.
Oh,
He
100%. And
oh,
even like his reaction though, even his reaction to when Johnny cut him off, he didn't say anything about, well, Izzy isn't good for you. I don't think like y'all. No, he literally kept it to, well, I still think you're a great person. Like,
oh,
I'm sorry. Basically, like, I'm sorry you feel that way. And like, obviously, like, I'm disappointed, but like, I
yeah,
wish you the best. And left it at that.
he
And
did. Yeah.
literally left it at that because he wasn't checking for he wasn't worried about the next man. Like he was worried
No.
about you. That's it.
Yes. That's really it. No, he and I love a lover boy. I love a writer. I love like
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I obviously look for, like, in a relationship, just, like, that sort of security, that means that I have the space to really thrive, you know? So,
Yeah.
it's to your point, I think it's very interesting. That's why I felt like I had connected with Johnny because I feel like at a certain point in time in my younger dating years, I was really going after, like, emotionally unavailable men that I felt like I had to work for, like,
Girl, we all
like
do it.
girl, and it's like, I
It's
feel like
me.
this is the trap. It's the trap, like, it you we've been fed that in so many different romance,
Yeah.
whatever the hells, but, like, the I love these shows because it shows you why that's a trap in reality,
Meredith
and
Grey. Pick me. Choose me. Love me. Girl. Girl.
Love is basketball! Love is basketball!
Oh
Oh
my God.
my
Love and
gosh.
basketball. No, Love and basketball is the OG for real. Love and basketball. Like,
Imma play for your heart.
oh, oh God.
Oh
It's
god.
uh,
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we definitely did have a couple of other people in here. I do wanna talk about, we have to talk about Sweet Boy Milton, okay?
oh Milton. Milton breaks my heart.
He's so
Milton
Charlie
breaks
Brown.
my heart because he's just a little baby ting. 24. Babe, just give it a chance. Give it a chance. I want to say that to so many people on this show, uh, even Married at First Sight. Like
Yes.
some of y'all, just give it a chance. I know the
Yes.
apps are shit. I'm on there. I get it. Fighting for our lives. I get it. Okay, like dating out here is hard, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
24, like you clearly, like you have your head on straight, you seem very
Yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
like you have
Yes.
a good look going for you. Give it a chance. 24, give it a chance.
He
Oh,
was
did
so
you haven't even tried.
not
At
at
least I
all.
don't at least give it 2 more years. At least give it 2 more years.
I mean,
Please.
man, I literally said first thing I said, "Why is Milton on the show at 24? OMG." And then
24? 24? Aren't at 24, aren't you still on your parents' insurance technically?
yes, you're not even off of
Bro,
Obamacare at that point, like,
like 20.
oh my
No, son, you
gosh.
didn't try. You didn't try. I'm sorry, you didn't try hard
Oh my
enough.
goodness,
Get
you
get
did
back out
not.
there. Get back out there in the real world.
Get in the streets right
Get in
now,
the street.
okay?
You need some more
Oh
time.
my
You need some
goodness,
more
he
time,
did.
baby. You need some more
He
time.
he needed a little baking. He was just so dorky and nerdy. I was like, "Oh Lord, I'm getting secondhand embarrassment for him." But I literally said, I was like, Milton is so mother effing tall because when he was like standing next to someone like in the hallway when they're next to those
Yes.
lights and his face was like next to the light, I
I
was like,
said, hold on. Hold on. That's what I'm saying. Just give yourself have travel to a new city. I know a lot of girls. I know a lot of girls. You just need to go to a couple day parties. Like, what are your activities? What are your activities on the weekend? I
we
don't think you're. I don't. No,
we can
no.
play matchmaker. I have a fantasy of all of us open up a little matchmaking business ourselves because, bro, we don't need like Milton would be a perfect little bachelor for
And
somebody.
I thought, and I
Like,
granted, like, I genuinely thought I thought he was so genuine in his process
yes,
too, which made it worse
yes,
because I was just like, no, like, I don't want anybody preying on you.
like
he was
Lydia, like,
dog. We'll
bro.
see. This
Before we dive
lady,
into that, I
yeah.
have to say, to your point, I do love how genuine he was in the process, because there was this one point where Uche was trying to tell him like about himself, and he was like, "Listen, I don't really want, sorry about my cat. I don't really want to be like disclosing all of that right now." Like he
Yeah.
really wanted to put his best foot forward. He did not want to like just be kind of led on, or I don't know what the fuck, but he was here for very genuine reasons. How do you feel about what Lydia's aspirations are for their relationship?
First of all, I am so sorry. I hope this doesn't come off ageist. Hot take, no. Th- 30 30 and 24, it is not even the fact that it's a 6-year age difference. It's the 6-year age difference at those ages. Like
Yes.
36 and 30, completely different.
Very.
30 and 24, no. And I
No.
understood, like, granted, he did say in his story, like, he was forced to grow up really fast. Like,
Right.
he, obviously, like, was accelerated in school. So he's always been around older people in
Right.
general. That makes sense to me. But like, no,
No.
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 30 and 24, no. I'm
No.
sorry, no. And 2, I think what pissed me off was that, 1, well, I'll say why it pissed me off in the context of Lydia, but Milton, like, one of the notes I had for him, I was like, "Milton needs a therapist and just some time before he tries to jump into a marriage in this way."
Girl.
Like, and again, let me just we're not trying to therapize everybody on this show, like,
You need a therapist. You need a therapist. You need a therapist. Everybody does. We all
but
do.
but just more so, not even, and it doesn't even have to be a therapist, but I think like for he was another person who struggled with like being like emotionally open and things like that. And he just
Yeah.
talked about like how
Yes.
hard it is for him to like be emotional. And I just feel like you can't go into a relationship, especially a marriage like that.
Right.
Like that's the whole shit. The whole shit is supposed to be you and this person. Like, bro, if I'm marrying you, you better be able to spill your guts to me. Like,
Oh my
you better be
goodness.
able to be emotionally vulnerable with me. Like, what are we
Yes.
doing if not that? And like,
Yeah.
again, it takes time to get there. And even
Yeah.
when that's not to say when people are in a relationship or when they get married, like you need to be this like perfect emotionally in tune person, but
Right.
you need to have at least you need to start somewhere. Like you need to have a little something like, and I just
Yes.
felt like it I felt like that was a big struggle for him.
It is.
And
Wow.
what pissed me off about Lydia, again, me getting back to the point where she was determined to leave out of there with somebody, anybody, because one of the first things she said, and she kept saying throughout the show, was that she wanted somebody who was emotionally in tune. She wanted someone who was emotionally available, someone who was
Wow.
emotionally
Yes.
mature. Milton is not emotionally mature, and that is
No.
okay. But like, sis, you literally said that was one of your top priorities and he
Absolutely.
doesn't fit that, but
He
you're still
doesn't.
forcing it. Why? Because he's telling you that he loves you and you want to be loved so bad. That's why.
Exactly. No, exactly. Like she said that. She also said, "Oh, I don't think that you can handle me. Like I don't think that like we are in the same maturity level." And that is that is okay. Like but I felt like she was just taking breadcrumbs, and she's I hate to use this word, but I do think she definitely settled for Milton, because I don't
Oh yeah.
understand what she's getting out of that, other than, "Oh, well, he chose, like,
Yep.
he chose
She
me."
just want to be chosen.
And it's like, ah,
I
I
said,
just
Lydia, now you're in love. Really?
and it's
Really?
like, again, that, like, even at the end, when after she had disclosed to him the whole Uche thing, what she was doing the same thing that Johnny was doing, love bomb, love bomb, love bomb, love bomb, and I think he had the wherewithal to hear it. I love what you said. I have to bop back to what you said about like he's not getting very introspective. I think that he's very introspective to himself, but he's not able to formulate that into words. He has a good intuition, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that he has gotten to the point of being introspective and then being able to formulate that and say it to another person, say what they need outside of like here's my story, like
Right,
he's very much able to talk about his story very well,
right,
but he's just not again, it's okay, I get what you mean by like he just needs to work on that introspection, but I think intuitively he could feel Lydia. I don't think he just doesn't know her that well, but he's like Lydia's just trying to win me back. Like that's why he was like, I just need 5 minutes. I'm glad that
right,
he said that.
right,
Like he was like, I
right.
just need 5 minutes. I need you to step back. I need to be able to just process this. But I'm glad that he came back. Like that was such a, I don't know, that was a big move for him. Lydia, when she cried, she was like, I think I lost him. And it's like, oh my goodness, like girl, well,
Nuts.
woman, I
Nutter
don't
butter.
know. Another one, like, she's an unreliable narrator because I don't even think that she's completely honest with herself. Like, I
I don't
think
think
that's
so
what it
either.
is,
And
and
and I
that's what's hard.
and it's like, okay, y'all get engaged, but like what's gonna happen when y'all are living together and you have somebody who is like so emotionally forward, like and you have this other person who like seems like their move is to like emotionally retreat. Like how is that
Yeah.
going to work? And it's just
Oh my
like,
goodness.
again, I just felt like Lydia was, as she said, was looking for someone who is going to be as emotionally forward as she is. And
Yes.
Milton isn't that. That's not to say that they still can't work. Like that's not to say that that's something they can't work on together. But again, if you're just saying that like she throughout the whole process, I feel like with every person she talked to, that was like a main point. And
Yeah.
then
You're so
for
right.
and I feel like that's probably why too, and I think she said this too in an episode where like the first time he kind of opened up to her, she was saying like, "Oh," and he was like, "Oh, do you think you could like see yourself with me?" And she was like, "Oh, I can today. Not yesterday, but now I can because
Because of
you know,
Izzy letting her
yeah,
go.
and like and she said because you were vulnerable with me, and I'm just like, but can we really trust that? And like again,
But it's because like you recognized, right, like you saw that the conversation go, she first was rejected by Izzy, then she came back and she was like, I had a rough day and I went through this, but I feel like it's hard for me to see myself with you because you're not vulnerable. Then, oh my gosh, Carmen, you literally just talked about this. Then he was like, oh well, I can be vulnerable, and then he said something vulnerable. Now I'm in love with you because now you've been vulnerable, and it's like,
how?
uh
How? Literally, that's not how it works. Like that is not how it works. I was just like, lady, you are and and that's another thing. We see this in Love Island a lot because I think again, it's such a specific like they're just in this like pressure cooker. So people will look
Yes.
for any single thing. They're like, "Oh, you like cheese puffs? I like cheese puffs too." Like, "Oh my god." And it's just like, "Oh, okay, you want to be vulnerable? I can give you vulnerable." And like I don't know. It was just like, y'all, this is not it. And granted,
No.
Milton has been 10 toes down on Lydia from day one. He has.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Big time.
But that was not reciprocated
No.
until after the fact. And like she just again, I just think she is so 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 concerned with
Yeah.
being picked,
Mhm.
having someone to love her. Like I think she just envisions her life in a very specific way. And like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
kind of like the toughest pill, I feel like, the more you get into adulthood, because everybody, not everybody, but I say that a lot, but like y'all know what I'm saying. Like, we all kind of think of like how we envision our lives for,
Yeah,
hetero people. A lot of times it involves like, get married, house,
yeah,
kid, da, da, da,
yeah,
da. I get that. I do. But I feel like in reality, especially when you are like in the thick of like adulting, as you're like
yeah.
going from like a young adult to like, later in life, you realize like you don't know what the fuck is gonna turn out. Like it's nothing is guaranteed. Like nothing is
Right.
guaranteed. And you can try to force something all day, but like nothing is guaranteed. It's it like so for yes, it's like you may not have found your person here. I'm sorry,
That's
go back to the
okay.
drawing board. That is okay, but, like, trying to force this puzzle piece that doesn't fit, and it didn't fit for you at first, and now it does in the span of, well, we don't know the timing,
I
but
think it's
it seems like a
2
very
weeks.
it seems like a very quick turn. Like, no, no.
I
I'm
I,
I'm
uh,
I'm scared for them.
I am too, and
And
we
even
already see in the
in the
right,
preview, child. And again, I think, like, I can even speak from personal experience, again, with the age gap thing. I don't think um like, the age number isn't always it's not necessarily the number of years, but
right,
it's like life stages. And
yes.
I think I think someone in his family, I don't know if it was like a mom or aunt, whatever, in the preview was like, what is a 30-year-old one with a 24-year-old? And I don't think she was saying it from like a number perspective, but more so like,
No.
this lady, is clearly established in her life, in her career. That's not to say Milton
Yes,
isn't. Like, he's doing very well for himself at a young
yes.
age, but
Meteorologist.
literally, but like, again, even emotionally, like, clearly she's been through, in terms of relationships, like, she's been through a lot more than he has.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know, they're just coming from it from two different planes,
completely.
like two different planets. And I'm just like, that's a crazy jump. That is a
It
crazy jump for
is.
someone who is like seemingly to just be getting out onto the scene, but clearly wants a serious relationship, clearly wants to be
Yeah,
married, but still very much like that's a new phase for him,
it is.
versus someone who is clearly like begging for this, has been
Yes.
begging for this for like a long time. Like, that's
Mhm.
two different things. Like, I don't
It
know.
really
I just,
is.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
And, like, the previews hint at there being just another layer of this of, like, because I feel like we've been so conditioned up until the end of the freaking last that drop, that news like, recontextualized everything because now that's in the back of my head is like, "Oh, are you only pushing this Milton thing along so that you can see Uche at some point in time?"
Talk
I
about
don't
it.
know, like, it's like I think that she was thinking that, "Okay, Uche's going to propose to Aaliyah, I'm gonna get Milton to propose to me, we're gonna take this trip, we're gonna be on this experience, we're gonna be forced to, like, kinda be around each other, maybe I can get Uche back." That's at least how they're trying to position it to us, and then I didn't wanna believe that, but then when old girl started talking to Aaliyah about, "Oh, yeah, do you know he had a Tesla? Have you his house is so nice. Yeah, I love his dog was this, the other was like, do you miss this
Girl,
man? Do you miss this man? Do you want this man? Do you do oh, wait, hold on. Lydia. Now Lydia. Now Lydia. Now
Lydia.
I can't be on your side. Like and just yeah, there's just we'll see what comes back, but like I literally wrote down I was like, "Oh yeah, crazy isn't the word, but her insecurities are showing." Her insecurities are showing, and she is projecting all over Aaliyah and Milton. This is all a projection. OMG, feels like she is love bombing Milton. I do feel like her and Milton. I did say, and I don't know what made me say. I do feel like her and Milton are compatible. You want to know why I said this? They do have this. I think that's why he's hanging out with her. They have very similar sense of humor, like that kind of dark
Yeah.
humor.
Yeah.
They both have that, and I think that's what's, like, keeping him going because
And they
he's
have
like, at
similar
least
interests too, on like the
exactly.
nerdy shit, the rocks and shit.
It's like, but I just wanna make I'm not saying that they could never work, but I just wanna make sure Lydia's wanting this for the right
Yes, yes,
reasons.
exactly.
That's it. That's all I'm
Man,
asking for. Okay, but I do want to quickly one we have not even talked about Taylor and JP, which is so funny. I only have a couple lines on them. Weren't they the cutest though? Like,
I
I
thought they were so cute, and the previews devastated me, but I saw it coming. They
know.
they primed us for it. I saw it coming, but like, they're giving me they're kind of, and I'm not putting, we all know Shake from, what is that, season 3, I think. Crazy as
Yeah.
fuck.
Oh gosh.
But it was kind of giving me Shake and Deepty vibes, because it was like one of the things in the I thought I really didn't have a lot of notes on them. I
You
thought
know?
they were just, like, so cute. His speech to her was so heartfelt, like,
Oh
oh
my
my
gosh,
god,
JP made me cry.
you know
Oh,
me, I was, like, I was like, "Oh my god," like, that was such a heartfelt speech, like, compared to a lot of the engagement speeches we've seen, like, I thought his was so
it was
heartfelt, so
real.
nice. Um, but then on the meetup, I felt like and at first I thought, "Okay, like, they're good," but they're so cringe to me, like, all the meetups are very cringe to me, like,
They
I be
are.
wanting to, like, fast forward, but I'm like, "No, you have to watch."
You
But
have to.
it's like but the meetups are always so cringe for me,
They are.
and um, I don't know, he was kinda giving me, like, awkwardness, but I didn't know if that was at first, I didn't know if that was just the awkwardness of meeting this person first or whatever, but he was kinda giving me a little bit of, like, awkward vibes in terms of, he was definitely being affectionate towards her, but it
Yeah.
almost felt like he was kind of, like, forcing himself into it, and then on the previews, one of their arguments was, like I think she said something like, "Oh, well, like, we fell in love before like knowing like seeing each other," and he was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, but now we do," or like now we do see each other or something like that, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, oh,
I know, but I kinda am on the I'm on the other wavelength. I don't know if she's as into him, like, literally in my notes, I was like, "Does
well
she
that
not
too,
find him
yeah,
attractive?"
yeah, because she was like, oh, like I think in her confessional she said like, oh, he's not like what I imagined, but then
Yeah.
in person she was like, oh, I like your face. I was like, wait, girl, do you like it or are you
Do
trying to
you
convince yourself?
are you no, I really, really it was so interesting to me because I was like, "Wait." I do think that I think that he was forcing it. I think that he was being the perfect gentleman. Like JP
Yeah,
just gives
yeah,
me good old boy.
yeah.
Like he's a solid. I'm sorry, I do love JP. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
lie. He tickled my little soul. Because he just gave me. Listen, I'm a. You get what you see.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
agreed,
like
agreed.
and
It wasn't really giving anything, like, hidden or anything. It was just kinda like, "This is me laid on the table," like, that's it.
and I want to give you a good life. I love that I wrote this here. I was like, he was like, "Do you cook? That's all right. I cook."
Yeah,
You
I
know,
said,
it was like.
"Period."
I was like, "Alright." Like, he and I just lo he was a firefighter, she was a teacher, I was like, "This is giving community man,"
Yeah,
but, like, she reminds me a bit of Irina, where I think maybe she's had issues with either like, she's had something with looks, something with beauty.
yeah,
Something with
yeah,
beauty has gone on here, whether it's with her or with
yeah,
others, but there's something with looks, and she was like, that was one of her things. She was like, I wanted to get out of that. I
yeah.
just hope she's actually able to overcome it because, yeah, I don't think that he was what she was imagining. But JP, I mean, he's not like my type, but like when it comes to looks, but he
I thought
was
they were
not a
pretty
bad
evenly
looking
matched. That's
guy.
what I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, clearly I don't understand, taste of others," because I was like, "I thought they was pretty even." To me,
look at him. They're cute.
I
Like
thought they were cute, but you know what? What the only thing that gives me pause about her, she's another young one, and I know, like, in because isn't this season
true.
is this a Southern season?
Houston.
Yeah, so, like, we already know, like, Southern culture, like, tend to, like, get married younger still,
Yeah, she's
whatever.
26.
Um, but she was another one where I was like, okay, especially with her story, like you said, about like her struggles kind of with self-love and something
Yeah.
with looks and probably like confidence and things like that. And I was
Yes.
just like, at 26, do you think that this is like the best path forward for you? Because I think it's just very interesting to feel like, as much as she said like, I love myself now, like I'm healed from that, but also if you were super if that was a big struggle in her life, I can see
Yes.
how you could contribute that as a reason to like why your love life isn't working out like the way
Yes.
that you think it is, and that going on a show like this where it's just about the connection, it's not about looks, you
Right.
think that that's the solution, but I'm like, so are you over it? Are you
I don't think
over it if you're
so.
here? I
It's like
don't
one of
know if
those
you're over.
things I don't think she is, and, like, all of these, like, hurdles, their journey, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, of course.
you're not gonna be able to, like, fix it all, but it's like she was acting like this was the solution, this was it, and it's like, "No, girl, you're not over that." It's something, and you totally I totally forgot that she said that about the her not loving herself. Now I thought that she was talking about emotionally, like, things that she would do with her like, or actions. But
I
you know
couldn't
what?
tell. That's what I was saying. I didn't know if it
No.
was like I didn't know if it was like love myself in terms of like confidence. I honestly didn't know if it was going kind of into like uh I didn't know where a mental
It
health
could've been
situation.
it could
I didn't know where it was like going at first.
didn't know
But
either.
like with all the other stuff, I'm like, oh, maybe that's what I think to your point. I think it was something with looks.
Yes, I
And
think so.
I'm just like, again, like, and she's a cute girl. Like, I'm just like, at this, and I think the way the ages are on the in this article, because it was the same thing for Ultimatum. I think that when they published the article, it's obviously this is a year after they filmed or
Yeah.
sometime after they filmed. So I
Yes.
think she's 26 now, but I think on the show it said she was 25, and I'm
25.
like, and so and he's 30, and I'm just
Hmm.
like,
Oh, really?
yeah, he's 30. I think so. Um, and I'm just like, "Babe, at 25, like, again, I know it's the South, but, like, do you really think that this is what it's come to at this point?" Like,
Oh, his name
I
is
I feel
Jared.
I feel like he
32.
oh, so, yes, oh, so maybe he was 31 on the show. But, yeah,
Wow.
I'm just like, "Sis, you could give it another 2 years." I'm sorry,
How
you
about
could give it another 2 years in the real world. I don't know. Like, 25, babe, 25, like
I mean, some people like yeah, it's so interesting, it's
I
so
mean, yeah, some
interesting.
people are just like, "I wanna skip dating, and I just wanna be married and have my life," and, hey, but
But no, yeah, it's
I don't
wow.
know about that.
I don't even like I never even put together that age gap thing, and you're right, it continues to be a, um, a theme, in the sense of, like, I don't know, I was really thinking they could work because they were, like, both a part of, like, community member stuff,
No,
but
that's a good point. I didn't even put that together, but that's such a good point. Like, and
yeah.
they'll probably, like, understand each other's lifestyles because I feel like both of those careers come with, like, a level of sacrifice and, like, it's,
Yes.
like, a very both of those are very like, intertwined careers in terms of, like, your
Yes.
personal and your work life, like, they're very intertwined.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely. But
but
it's gonna
yeah,
be interesting to see it in play, and
yeah,
also to see what you're talking about, which is, like, the maturity level, and if, like, she's able to truly get past looks,
yeah,
because yeah, if it wasn't something that it's okay to value that. This is just not
yeah,
the show for you,
right,
okay? This is just
literally,
not
literally.
it going to be the show for you. So, it was interesting. I do want any last thoughts on them, because I wanted to bring up one person very quickly.
Who we bringing up? Who bring them up,
Um,
bring them up.
bro, I wish we would have seen a little bit more of Miriam, I think her name is. She was the other black girl. Oh, well, she came out Chandra
Yes,
came out for just a
okay.
second. But can we talk about where's Miriam? What were your you know who I'm talking about, right? The
I know
chemist?
exactly who you're talking about, and my only thought about
There she is.
Miriam was like, is this Breaking Bad?" Like, what like, when she was like, "Oh, I have a side business and I make chemical compounds," and I'm like, "What is it giving, like, white? Like, what do you mean?" Like, I was like and she was being and they just left it as that, and I was
I was like, "Why is she
she was
being so
being
mysterious?" I was like,
so
"Is she a liar?"
secretive. She was being
Like,
so secretive, and I was like, "Girl, what is going on? And if you can't speak about certain things, why are you on a reality show? Don't get it. This is gonna be on TV. What about that don't you understand?" I was so
oh my
confused.
gosh. I was so confused with her. I couldn't stop laughing though, because Uche was as equally as confused as
He
all
was
of us
like,
were.
"What?"
He's like,
So, what does that
"So"
mean? So
and she
so
she was like, "Oh, like, yeah, I'm moving back." But no, I'm already moved back. And I'm
right.
like, I supposed to do with this
Unhinged,
shit?
unhinged. I was like, "Girl, what is it giving?" Like, they
Oh
just
my
threw her in there for
goodness.
a little I think they just threw her in there for a little,
A little
entertainment.
sprinkle. They
Yeah,
did, but I didn't understand talking about her. One of the last things I thought when it came to, like, these different people when Aaliyah was going all the way back to Aaliyah, when she was going through her BS, Lydia was there, of course, for ulterior motive reasons. But I was like, why were the other black girls just like looking at her sometimes when she was crying? Like I didn't understand. It seemed like there wasn't, at least from what I could see, as much camaraderie there.
yeah,
With her, with Aaliyah
yeah,
specifically.
yeah.
It seemed like like Miriam, the other girl, Chandra, and then this other girl, I think I just saw her name was Erica. I didn't even see Linda. I don't even know. I don't know half these people because we didn't meet them. But it seemed like there was a 3 pack. But
Yeah,
Aaliyah was not a part of it. Miriam definitely was though. And Miriam seemed like she was a cool person. She just
yeah,
was so
yeah.
freaking like she had an alter ego or something. Like
No, for real. And I wonder too if, like, I don't know, we didn't really see outside of Milton and Uche, like, I didn't really see any, background characters that were black men. So I was also like,
right.
maybe it was really just, like, them 2, and I don't know if, like, the other black women, if they felt it would be I wish we could get, like, tea from everyone who participated because
Right.
if there's only, like let's say if there's only really, like, 2 or oh, I remember him. I was like,
Yeah.
he was giving fuck boy, like, he was giving
Financial advisor.
oh my gosh, what's this guy's name too with the glasses?
Oh my lord, his Jared.
See, and he's problematic. Problematic, and let me tell you why, because he came on this show for a vengeance. What's her name? Vanessa, at the beginning when she asked, she was like, "Oh, well, um like why are you here, blah blah," and he was like, "Yeah, well, women have told me that," he was like, "Usually I'm just skinnier than a lot of other guys and I'm smaller than a lot of other guys, and like, you know me compared to other people, like women pick like other men because of my size or something like that." And she was like, "Oh, have they said that to you?" And he was like, "No." And those be the ones to watch out for, because why are you making up narratives? You're making up
You're
narratives,
projecting.
babe, and let me tell you something. That's not the reason why. I could tell you that right now. I I could tell you that right now. That's not the reason why.
Oh my goodness.
Like,
Yeah, he was giving slight. I don't want to put that on him. I was gonna say something wrong. But yeah, he was there for vengeance. Like he was like, yeah, I'm not gonna have anybody judge me off of my looks. I'm gonna but it's just weird energy. And like it's like that's your insecurity, babe, not
it's
anybody
the
else's.
insecurity was screaming. The insecurity had a megaphone. I was like, yeah, I hope no one links up with him.
I
I
do not
hope
need to see more.
nobody links up with
I
him.
didn't even see Enoch, but his just seeing his job. So sorry, but not sorry. Yeah, I can see him being
He
F
just gave
boy.
me like there were these minor clips of him, and I don't know, it just kind of gave like I'm young, like blah blah, like it just never gave he was getting deep with anybody, blah blah. But maybe he just didn't
Yeah.
make any connections, and they just pulled out funny parts. We'll never know, but
Well, yeah, we will never know, but I definitely felt like this was one of the juiciest drops of first drops I feel
yes,
like I've ever gotten of Love Is Blind. Like
agreed.
I don't know if like how you feel about it, but this was giving and like this was the most pod content I've ever seen either too,
Yeah,
which I
yeah,
loved as well. Like, I definitely hope they continue to show the people who didn't make it, because girl, as we let's start to move into cliffhanger discussions
yes,
because they left us off on a couple different cliffhangers. First
a
off, do
couple.
you really think that we're only going to follow 3 couples, or do you think that they're just holding back on what engagement to have to come?
I don't know because like I think we might only follow 3 couples, and I think we may get footage of, we might get Uche and
Aaliyah, yeah.
Aaliyah footage, we might get Johnny and Chris footage, but I don't know that we're gonna be able to follow them. It's I mean, it's really gonna depend on what their conversations were post pod. Like we're not
Sure.
because last season I was shocked about Bliss and Zach.
Bliss.
Like
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
shocked. I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming.
Me neither.
So I can't call it, but I think for now, I think we might only have three couples. Like,
Yeah. And that's gonna be like, especially with one of those couples or Taylor J but Taylor JP seemed like they're gonna be spicing it up. Okay. Let's talk about this. Who do you let's make our predictions now. Who do you
ooh,
think is going to make it and say yes at the altar? Like, and I'd love for you to answer. We're gonna go couple by couple. I'd love for you to answer if you think somebody's gonna say no, which person. Okay.
okay.
Let's first start with Taylor and JP. Do you think like they're gonna make it and say yes?
Like just the preview threw me off, but originally I think they have potential. I think they could make it.
Okay.
I think they could make it, but I think if someone were to say no first, I think it would be Taylor.
Okay. Going to
Because
make it.
JP kind of also gives me like even if they I don't know, I could kind of see him being especially at his age like 30 just the type of guy that he was portraying like
Yeah.
I could see him kind of being like I'm in this, you know what I mean, to
Yeah.
make it work and like I'm kind of going off her. Like you know how last season Paul and Micah uh I think I
Yes.
think Paul went first, but I think he I think in the after the altar um it kind of they kind of alluded to if Micah would have gone first and she said yes, then he would have followed suit.
He
So
would
I
have.
think that could be a
Wow.
similar Taylor and JP situation.
I could
I
see
think
it
it's
too.
I think it's gonna depend on it's gonna depend on her move, I think.
Yeah, I completely actually agree. First, I was thinking to myself, like maybe JP would say no because of the tumult, how tumultuous
Mhm.
it looked like they were getting. But just because he seems like a very secure guy, he knows like this is a very short experiment. I'm going
Right,
to like push this through and really see
right.
after the cameras are gone. I think that he would say yes, and I think that it would really be up to Taylor to say no. So I completely agree with you there. What about when we get to Izzy and Stacy?
I ooh, I don't know. I think I could see them saying yes, but again, I think the person to if someone were to say no, I think it would be Stacy.
Really? Well, okay, one, Izzy was so he was like, "I got a bombshell." Like,
He
he
was did
was
she when he was even before he even saw her when she said yes to the proposal, he was like twerking and
I love that. He
he
was so
was
funny.
geeked up.
Geeked out. I enjoyed Izzy. He gave me some Bartice vibes, and I'm
Yeah,
like, I want to see how you're going to, deal with conflict. I'm
yeah,
excited to see that. But yeah, he was so feeling her, and I think that she was feeling him too. I just think for anybody going under that experiment, it's one of those things where it's like I have to put the face
yeah,
with the voice, like I
yeah,
think it's hard. So I don't think they're gonna have issues with physical compatibility,
yeah, I don't
but
either.
I just we don't know. We don't know with them. So
Yeah,
I for
I
right
think it's
now,
gonna depend on their connection, like, how strong
yeah,
is like, how is their connection gonna develop, throughout the show, and, like, how strong is it gonna be as they get closer to the wedding date? Because, again,
yes,
I think I could see, um, if if they don't get deeper, you know what I mean?
yeah.
I could see them saying no, but I wanna say for now, I think yes.
Okay, okay,
Because Stacey again, Stacey ain't give me nothing to work with.
and
I can't
nothing.
even predict.
It's so hard. It's so freaking hard. So no, okay. We're saying yes to them right now. Yes to the dress. Because yeah, I could see them like a Barnett and Amber, like,
Yes,
we
yes,
keep it
yes,
fun,
yes. Agreed,
we're
agreed.
still riders, because 'cause I'm not saying that
I was
it's
questioning about them too. I'm surprised that they're still together
but I
because
see it now.
I
Go ahead,
see
yeah.
it now, yes, now I see it. But in the
Yeah.
beginning, I was like, "Hmm,
No, I was because I thought that he was just choosing her because she was the safe fun
same,
option, but
same."
also you know me, I don't got a problem with safety. Like I don't think that you should go to the person just because y'all have emotionally trauma bonded the deepest. Like I
Yeah,
think like if you're thinking, which I know Izzy, he to me rings a very pragmatic person. If you're thinking like who is the person if I value having fun in a relationship for the long run, who's the person who is committed to having fun moving like not taking everything too deep, moving past the hard,
yeah,
like I can see why he would choose her. I just hope that neither of them are too afraid of the really hard stuff because that
mhm.
is genuinely what is going to come whether you like it or not. So
Right,
we'll
right.
see. But I could see it working kind of like a Barnett and Amber situation. So
Yeah.
moving forward to our last engagement, Lydia and Milton.
Hell no.
No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And I hope Milton says
Absolutely not.
no.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Run
not. And
away.
yeah, I think Milton says no.
Run away.
Run
Like,
away, please. Please.
and I think, oh my gosh, when I tell you I'm ready for the messiest honeymoon-ish like trip.
Yeah.
I am ready. Because it seemed like most of the conversations they showed us was from that. And I think that's just going to be what defines the rest of the season, what happens there. I am very intrigued because I think Milton's going to catch on very quickly Lydia's real reasons for being there. And I think
Yeah.
that he's going to have to walk away. I think he's going to have to walk away. So,
And
yeah.
I think and we saw this, I think we saw this the most with last season, or maybe that's
Yeah.
just because that's the freshest one in my mind, but
Yeah.
I think the family and friend
Oh, yeah.
relationships are gonna play a huge part in this season too. Like with Stacy and
Absolutely.
Izzy, that's something he's looking for is like to
Yes.
be, in this kind of like close knit
Yes.
family and friend group that has all these traditions. Like he's looking for that. So it'll be interesting to see like how Stacy's family like what am I trying to say, receives him. And I think if he feels rejected by her community, I don't think that's gonna be good for them. Because
No,
he is
like,
not really, I don't really think he's looking for a you and me versus the world. Like he's trying to join something. So
yes.
so that's gonna be a really interesting thing to watch with them. And then
Yeah.
with Milton and Lydia, I think on Milton's end, like we've already seen previews of some woman in his life, asking the real question. I think multiple women. And
Yeah.
he
I
said
love that.
he grew up pretty strict. Um, so I think probably like his family still has like a lot of influence over him. So I think that's gonna be a very interesting thing. And I think it'll be interesting to see if like how much he takes that into account. So I think with those two couples especially, like it's going to be very interesting to see how the family and friends aspect plays into their relationship. Because I think we've seen
Absolutely.
that a lot. I think we saw that a lot last season. Um, one with like Tiffany and Brett, their communities kind of like positively reinforcing them, which I think
Yeah.
much easier. And then with Micah and Paul, Micah's friends like not fucking with him at all.
Oh my gosh, it was so you're so right, like, that's going to be the aspect that we start to come at things with. I do wish that they did that more with the ultimatum, but I love that they do it
Yeah.
here, and it's like, yeah, I and that's where stuff because we also saw it with Bartice and, Nancy,
Yeah.
that's where we found
Yes.
out that
Yes.
Nancy has a history of being the giver, and like, I love when her brother was like, Nancy does that for everybody.
Right.
Why are you really with her? Like,
Right.
it because this stuff just becomes very real. So, yeah, we're in this whole fantasy scape right now in the pods.
Mhm.
It's a very fantasy-like place, and I think that there's a lot of room for romance there that can help
Yeah.
lay the foundation, but we don't really I think reality is gonna smack Lydia and Milton in the face the
Yes.
hardest.
Quickly.
And
Quickly.
very quickly. Um, even though this couple was not engaged, thoughts on the future for Aaliyah and Uche. What do you think is going to happen? I loved how the
Ooh.
last episode was like, she gone? Like, that
Right.
was the title. And the freaking producer was like, they let him sit there calling her for a bit. I was like, y'all are
Wrong.
wild. And he was
Wrong.
like, Uche, she's gone. Like, oh Lord jeez.
Messy. So they're interesting. I don't know if could necessarily see a Zach and Bliss situation. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
I could see like whole marriage. Maybe they continue dating if they can
Yeah.
work it out, but it's gonna be interesting to see like why, because it's gonna be interesting to see why Aaliyah left. Like, did she leave more because of Uche, or did she leave more because of Lydia and having to like be around her
Yeah.
in the group housing with like the pods and
Yeah.
stuff? Because she like me for real. I'm like, nah, I can't be looking at this bitch every day. I gotta go. I I have to go. I'm sorry. I have to leave. I know I can connect with this man after this, but right now, I gotta get up out of here. I
No, because
gotta go.
that
I
would have
have to
been like
go.
that would have been a very my world is altered situation, and now I'm forced to go like on this honeymoon trip with them. Like, no,
Yes, that's too
yeah,
much. That's what I'm saying.
too
Like
much.
in a if in a perfect world, like if after all that Uche did propose, they get engaged, then she comes out, she's like, I'm engaged. Her main person, she can't even enjoy that
No,
moment because the main girl she had in there is giving two-faced. And so she's already
exactly.
conflicted about that. Then she's gonna
Yes,
be like, she's probably gonna be like questioning herself, and then they would have had to like stay in that environment. You don't know like what Lydia would have been trying to like say to her. Like it was just
girl.
a lot of, like you said, it was a lot of variables. That's a very like altering thing.
Yeah.
And I understand why sis was like, yeah, let me just dip out real quick. Let me go. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Like,
No, yeah. So I agree with you.
I'm
I
very
don't
interested. I
know.
can't wait for their conversation though. I
Me
cannot
neither.
wait. I'm
I,
dying to know.
I feel like they're gonna save that for a third episode drop again of the
Yeah.
next one. Like we're gonna get. I feel like we're not gonna get that till the honeymoon stuff is
Yeah.
over because I think that the honeymoon stuff is gonna give a lot of. I mean, obviously, it's gonna have to wait because. Oh no, no, it doesn't have to. You know what's so weird? It kind of gave that Uche was on the honeymoon stuff because when did he say to Lydia, "I think you're only here to be with me"? I don't. That must have been after. I don't
Yeah,
know,
I need
but
to rewatch. I'm gonna rewatch the end of that.
yeah, I need to prepare, but I don't see this materializing into a full-on marriage. At
Yeah,
best,
I don't.
I can
Yeah.
see them like I can see your point. I can see them just, you know, maybe getting engaged. Maybe,
Yeah.
so I don't know, but
Even
I wish
engaged
the
might be a
best.
stretch.
That's a stress, girl, cuz yeah, it's just there was a lot there. Wow. Love is Blind, thank you for the drama first
Thank
off,
you.
but
Ate
that
it up.
was fun. That was fun. Well, yeah, I think like anything else, any thoughts left for this first batch?
Nah, I'm just excited. When did the next round of episodes come out?
Next Friday, this upcoming
Oh,
Friday, we're
yes.
gonna be fed.
I
Fed.
am excited. And as always, I just think, some of these people just just give it a chance first.
Try the
Just
real world for a
just
chance.
try a little bit harder. I'm so sorry to say, but some of y'all, I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I
I
think
don't
you're
know.
giving up a little too easy,
Yes. Oh
but
my
we live
goodness.
for the content nonetheless. So thank you.
There's no. It's so fucking funny. Oh my goodness. Well, yeah. I guess like yes, that's a wrap, y'all.
Yes,
Like,
it's a wrap.
oh my goodness. Please like remember to check out like all of the videos that are going to be suggested at the end of this one. We are going to be coming back to you soon with another recap of the
Yes.
next batch of episodes. So please like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell to get notifications for when we come back again for Love is Blind content. We already have covered Ultimatum, so please check that out as well. And yeah, just thanks for joining us on the
Thank you
nerdy
for
journey through
joining
the world of
us.
love. Yes.
We will
Any
see y'all
last words,
soon.
Carmen?
Just get ready. Have your popcorn
Yes.
ready for when we come back because this honeymoon is gonna give juicy.
Yes, it
So
is.
please be tuned in.
Yes, please do. But until next time, stay nerdy and stay awesome. Bye.
Bye.